All right, it's live on YouTube. All right. Let me know when you're ready then.
Yeah, we can go now.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Around the 412. We are part of allsteelers.com and proudly presented by Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, and more. Follow at Crowworthy on Twitter and visit us at crowworthy.com. You can also check out the Crowworthy Pittsburgh City page for podcasts like this, blogs, and more. I'm Tyler, and with me as always is Smitty. What's going on, man?
What is going on? We got a lot to talk about, and some things where we're gonna get into it, but it's still kind of up in the air what's going on with them. I thought we were gonna have like some huge Penguin news to talk about, and we don't know if it's gonna go through yet. So, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's kick off the show by telling you guys about Manscaped. So support Around the 412 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. I have one. Tyler has one. Our friends all have them. They're awesome. The Lawnmower 3.0, which just recently came out, is awesome, but the accessories that go with that, even more so. I mean, the toner, the deodorant. I recently got the body wash and the cologne. I love all of it. It smells phenomenal. Yeah, like I'm typically like an Old Spice guy for body wash. That's like pretty much the only stuff that I use, and I've kind of gotten away from that. I think Manscaped might be the new wave for me.
Yeah, I've never really been a body wash guy. I've always used a bar of soap.
Oh, really? Okay.
So this is pretty much a brand new experience for me all around, but it's been pretty great.
Yeah. So like I said, we have all the stuff. They spent 18 months to perfect the Lawnmower 3.0. It's the third generation trimmer. It features cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin safe technology pioneered by Manscaped themselves. It's premium. It lasts 90 minutes off the charger. Don't know why it would take you 90 minutes, but if you need that much time, there you go. It's waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. Has an LED light to illuminate your grooming area. It comes with a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. The charger for this thing is USB. You can plug that right into the wall and charge it. You can get that. You can get all the other stuff. You can put it in a cart. Go to checkout. Use code 412 at checkout. That's going to get you 20% off plus free shipping. Again, code 412 at checkout, manscaped.com. Lawnmower 3.0, the toner, the deodorant, you can get it all. They got the perfect package 3.0. They also recently came out with a nose and ear trimmer, which is actually the one thing I don't have yet, but I might be in the market for that after seeing it come out. And I know that there's a package that offers that included with the Lawnmower 3.0 now as well. So again, 412 at checkout, get you 20% off plus free shipping.
I want to try the mints too. I wonder what like flavor they are.
Yeah, I mean, I just out of curiosity.
Like I wonder if they're like a like a cool mint or a peppermint or
I'm expecting
cinnamon or like
that's what it reminds me of. I guess probably just because it's like the cake of it. We have somebody in the chat already. Carl, what's going on? He said he was surprised about the Pens news. We'll see if it goes through, though. Yeah, I've seen conflicting reports as far as like what the hang-up could be. Let's just start with the Penguins because I didn't really know which order we could go with here. But based off, the chat kicking off the conversation for us, there's conflicting reports as far as what the holdup would be, and that's with the Patrick Hornquist for Mike Matheson swap with the Florida Panthers that we're talking about. Is it an insurance thing? Because that's what I've seen a little bit of too. But they also apparently, the other report was they were having trouble getting a hold of him to see if he would waive his no trade clause that he has. So, I mean, man, I will say I am not against the team trading Patrick Hornquist. I absolutely love him. I love him for everything that he's done. He's been a fantastic player for this organization, everything that we could ask for and more coming over from the James Neal trade. Because it was I remember that draft day, a lot of people were underwhelmed with the return that we got for a guy that had scored 40 goals in James Neal. Patrick Hornquist has come here and been everything and more that we could ask. won 2 Stanley Cups, been the heart and soul of this team. With that being said, though, still making over $5 million at this point and not a top 6 winger, I would not have any issue with them moving him. I will say in this deal, though, I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I was texting Sarge a little bit earlier, just a little bit about it, because he was saying how he was mad about them moving on from Hornquist, and I said I wasn't mad. It was more so like upset a little bit, just from a sentimental standpoint.
Yeah.
But I said like a month and a half ago on our show that the first person that came to mind when it came to who could be traded was Patrick Hornquist, just because of his cap dollar and his performance is getting up there in age. He's had injury problems. So, I mean, I don't think I was surprised to see that he was in trade talks. However, I was surprised on the return. Mark Matheson is pretty underwhelming. And I've said this, I was in a group chat earlier with a couple friends, and I said it like, I'm not so much disappointed in, or not disappointed. I'm not so much questioning the player, because if the intention is to trade for Mark Matheson, to have him play over Jack Johnson, it is an improvement upon Jack Johnson. However, if they keep Jack Johnson on the roster, which, I mean, they probably end up going to, because how are you going to trade that guy? My question is his contract. I mean, it's $4.88 million a year for the next 6 years. And you've got a ton of left defensemen. I mean, you've got Dumoulin, Pettersson, now potentially Matheson, Riikola, Johnson, and you were hoping that P.O. Joseph would come up sometime this year as well. I mean, that's just a stacked, overpiled left defenseman side. So I guess I'm not so much mad about the player himself. It's just more the situation of the team and like how it fits and makes sense. Because really, I just don't see how the deal made sense from a business standpoint of looking at your team and trying to make it fit with the other defensemen you have.
Yeah, I think that there has to be a corresponding move if this deal is made with one of those other left-handed defensemen being shipped out. And I think that everybody would just be hoping that means Jack Johnson's on his way out and Matheson replaces him as the third pairing left-handed defenseman. And if that's the case, I'm fine with that. Again, Matheson not on a great contract, as you mentioned, 6 years. The number's not great by any means, but I could live with that number if it were on shorter term. It's really the fact that what was Florida thinking when they gave him an 8-year extension? I mean, I understand, a couple years ago, he did look like he was a pretty decent player for them. And he's kind of, been on he's on the decline by any means. He's 26 years old, but the last 2 years haven't been that great. And you wonder, which player is he? And I don't hate this deal. Again, I will like it a lot more if there is a corresponding move, which looking at the roster, like you mentioned, I don't see a way that there isn't. If it's not Johnson, is it Marcus Pettersson already, even though he was just given a deal?
I would say that's probably the name I've seen most brought up with who they could trade, which sucks because they just gave him a deal and it's a team friendly deal, I think, for what he provides and what he's provided for the Penguins so far. But I mean, from what I've learned about Matheson in the past 5 hours, because I'll be honest, I didn't know really anything about him besides who he was, is that he is very good offensively skilled for a defenseman. He's an elite skater, and I've seen video and I looked up highlights of him, and I would say that it's true. He is an elite skater. However, that does not translate to his defensive game. He's good defending with his stick, but he makes like dumb mistakes. Like he will do clumsy turnovers, and it's not like it's just like once like a game. It's like multiple shifts. He will do that during a game, and so I don't know if maybe the change of scenery would be good for him. Like, because we've seen like Justin Schultz was referred to as the worst defenseman in the league whenever he was traded to the Penguins. He turned it around real quick and got a big contract from it. But I think for Schultz, it was just different circumstances there for like trading for him, because you weren't giving up Patrick Hornquist, which again, I don't care about, but I mean, the trade doesn't quite make sense to me. And whenever Schultz was coming up, we didn't have the stacked defensive room that we had, at least on the left side, or in that case, the right side for Schultz, that we would have right now. So it would just make it a more complicated situation. and you didn't have a guy like P.O. Joseph in our system to come up and play immediately. And we don't know that P.O. Joseph would play immediately. He would probably come up next year. But if this trade goes through, he's probably not going to come up at all next year.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned the change of scenery, and what that makes me think about is I wonder if the addition or re-addition of Todd Reardon to the coaching staff played into this at all. I mean, this is kind of to go out and get a defenseman pretty much right away. I wonder if, Reardon had looked at things in his game, in Matheson's game, and been like, I think that's a guy that I could work with. Similar to, just trying to find one thing in the guy's game that they think, if we can just make this work, then we really got something here. Going out and getting Justin Schultz, they obviously saw something and felt like they could turn his play around, and they did. So, I mean, you're obviously looking at it, best case scenario, the way that I'm painting this picture. But, I don't have any issue with Hornquist being traded. As much as I love him, I think that it probably is time. He's making a lot of money for what he's given you on the third line. If he's not playing your top six, it's tough to pay a guy over $5 million. So I don't have an issue with that. And I really, like I said, you're not shedding much salary. You're talking about a difference of about $400,000 between him and Matheson. And you're also, he's under contract for 3 more years than Hornquist would be. So I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm somewhere in the middle on it, but I will say I can definitely, it'll be easier to digest should a corresponding move be, Jack Johnson being traded, along with Matt Murray or in a different deal, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, I just don't see how any move would involve Jack Johnson at this point. I just think it's kind of you would have to give up a significant piece, like if you want to get rid of him. Like you would have to give up either multiple draft picks, a high draft pick, or like I don't even think trading him with Murray would work, only because they already have to give Murray a contract when they trade for him, and then you have to take on Jack Johnson, which nobody wants to do. So, I mean, unfortunately, if this trade goes through, I just don't think there's any way around it without it being Marcus Pettersson if there is a corresponding move, because I don't think they can trade Jack Johnson. Not that they don't want to, I just don't think they're able to. And then I just don't see Dumoulin going anywhere.
I will say, though, because we're kind of all expecting a somewhat significant return from Matt Murray. I mean, if you talk about 8 teams being interested, around 8 teams, you would think that if those teams get into a little bit of a bidding war, then the return could be somewhat significant. What if, they were willing to accept pretty much nothing to trade Murray to also get rid of Jack Johnson?
Honestly, from a Penguins perspective, I wouldn't want to do that. I would rather get the better return, and just because from what I understand or what people have said is that Matheson could play over Jack Johnson and Jack Johnson would just sit on the bench. Yeah, it sucks that you have $3.25 million in the press box, but I would rather probably get the return for Murray if it's as good as people have described, because I didn't think it was going to be as good as people have said it could be. Like, I thought that at max they were going to get a second round pick, and that would be like the best thing they could get. But I mean, people have described like having prospects in the deal and maybe even a first round pick. So I don't even know if I'd want to like alter that at all.
Yeah, I mean,
especially when you look at the farm system that the Penguins have, it's not great. I mean, they have like the 29th. I think in the Athletic, they ranked the Penguins farm system the 29th out of 31 teams. I mean, you really only have like 3, maybe 4 guys. Well, actually, Hallander's gone. So you probably have like 3 guys at the top that that you're expecting to be on the Penguins in the next like 2 to 3 years. But after that, there's really not much there. So I think if you can help that as much as you can, then I would do that.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, regardless of if we keep that first round or not even keep that first round pick, if we trade for that Murray for a first round pick, that first round pick's not staying here very long anyway. So
yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, that's kind of. I'm just being real about it. We would most likely see that moved in a different trade. So
yeah, and I'll be honest. I'm getting to the point where like I don't think this trade is the tipping point, but if Rutherford trades Brian Rust, who is one of your best wingers. He was going to be projecting for like a 40-goal season this season if they would have played like a full season. If you trade him, I do not see a way that you can justify Rutherford keeping his job. What is the point of trading Russ? I have no idea.
I guess there's a difference between like fans calling for him to go and the organization being able to justify him still being in his position. Because as far as like the fans wanting him to go, I feel like at least the majority we're past that point. And yeah, I mean,
and I'm trying to look at it, I guess, more of a not like an organizational standpoint, but like more of a non-fan perspective, just like looking at the moves in themselves. Like this, I wouldn't fire him for, but even though I don't love it, but like if he traded Rust, I don't care what the return is. I mean, I don't understand the move at all, and if the return was terrible, I think he should be fired.
well, that's the thing is he wouldn't be fired just based off making that trade because ownership would pretty much have to sign off on that trade happening anyway. But the thing for me is going to be like, yeah, you mentioned if the return sucks or however that pans out, we would have to see how that pans out first before him to lose his job, in my opinion. I mean, that very well could be the last move he makes, though, if you think about it, because, say that happens and the Penguins aren't, living up to expectations next season, we could see some changes being made. We kind of talked about it already. The fact that, look who's on the bench now with Sullivan. Like he's on the hot seat. You can't really get around that with the way that the last few seasons have ended. And I get that this past year was kind of weird, with it being in the bubble and restarting after months of not playing. And we know that the Penguins always start out of the gate slow, and it was just like pretty much a season restarting or a season starting over again, just a brand new season. But yeah, I think that there definitely could be a lot of organizational change if things continue to trend the way that they have. And another thing that I want to bring up is with this Matheson deal, should it go through, he has 6 years left on his contract. We had recently seen, and I'm assuming that you saw as well, because we both stay pretty up to date with this stuff, that the Penguins were looking to clear some cap to be able to pursue a defenseman to sign him to a contract similar to Brandon Tanev. And his brother, Chris Tanev, was actually brought up as one of those guys. I would assume that this move for Matheson would kind of be like a 2-for-1 type thing that would knock that move out of the realm of possibility. But I don't know. Who knows with Jim Rutherford? What are your thoughts on
it? Yeah, I saw that Chris Tanev was rumored, and I mean, I didn't love that in itself. But after the trade or potential trade, I just don't see a way it's possible because you've got free agents on your team that you still need to sign. And assuming the contract that he would get would be similar to his brother, I just don't see how they could financially do that.
Yeah, I saw that. So he's looking for a little bit of a bump in pay from the 4.85 or whatever he was making this year. And what I saw in the article, I don't know if you read that whole article, the one about the, Brian Rust possibility and stuff. Yeah. So I went through and read that whole thing. And the idea was they feel like they can pitch him. They feel like they can make $5 million a year work. And they feel like they can offer him a 5-year deal, which would line up with the number of years that Brandon has left on his contract, and pitch him on the idea of, first off, playing with his brother, obviously in Pittsburgh. He'd be able to tell him everything about the city and stuff like that. Lower taxes, I guess. I don't know how that stuff works, obviously, but and just, I guess, like the Pittsburgh city life, and they feel like he would fall in love with the city. I don't know. I don't think that Chris Tanev is the type of player that we need to be doing this type of recruiting for. I really liked Chris Tanev a couple seasons ago, but his play has started to drop off. We're talking about a guy that just hit 30 years old. So you're gonna give him a deal that runs till he's 35. I'm certainly not in love with that. I mean, we're talking about a guy that at this point, I think I think he upgrades the defense, and he's still good at killing penalties. I don't think he brings much to the offense. And I think the biggest benefit that he would bring to the team is he would eliminate, Chris Letang having to play as many minutes because Chris Tanev could play on the penalty kill. And I think that's the biggest benefit that we would see from it.
Yeah, and I mean, even though that could be a benefit, I just don't see it happening, nor personally would I want it to happen. I would rather reallocate that money somewhere else. because that's a lot of money to tie up for a 30-year-old. I mean, he's going to be 35, 36 when that deal runs out. Yeah, I'm not in love with that.
So would you rather
and
have
I
them?
looked at his.
I'll say, would you rather have them make this deal for Matheson, Hornquist for Matheson, or get Chris Tanev in free agency?
I would probably honestly rather them make the deal.
Okay.
And that might surprise some people. But I think it's just because if they're going to trade Hornquist, and this is the kind of return they would get, I mean, Matheson, I guess he has more upside than Chris Tanev. I mean, not that he's like better than Chris Tanev. I just feel like his ceiling with the Penguins could potentially be better, even though he hasn't played well the past few seasons. And I don't know. I'm not in love with the idea of signing Chris Tanev to a long-term contract. And I think, Matheson's younger, which is no matter whether you're comparing the two stats wise, I mean, age, he's 4 years younger than him. So I don't know. It's tough because I don't love either of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would say if you could guarantee me that Jack Johnson would be moved, I would definitely take the acquisition for Matheson and giving up Hornquist over the free agency signing. The only thing that I'm thinking of is if they're willing to, do you think that them being reportedly, this is thrown in there, we don't know if it would actually happen, actually sit Johnson in favor of Matheson, even though he would still be on the roster? Do you think that's only the case if we trade for a guy like Matheson, or can we see that happen with a guy like P.O. Joseph coming up too? Because if that's the case, I would much rather, even though I wouldn't love that Tanev deal down the line, if you can give me Letang and Dumoulin, Pedersen and Marino, and then P.O. Joseph and Tanev, I think I would take that.
I agree. I wasn't really putting that into my thought. So if I'm considering that as well, then I would agree with you. I would rather have that deal. Just getting Johnson off the team, or whether it's through P.O. Joseph playing or whatever. But I think I would take that instead of the trade. But I mean, the trade seems inevitable at this point. I mean,
yeah, I don't know
being
how
hung up on. Unless Hornquist says no, that we haven't even brought that up. Hornquist can just say no, and the trade doesn't happen. He has a full no trade clause.
Yeah, and then you're probably just kicking. This is the last year that he has the no trade clause, right? So I feel like you're just kind of kicking the can down the road for a year. But I mean, maybe he would accept.
Well, I don't even know if it would last a year.
Well,
that's what I was going to say. I don't. I think that you'd have a similar situation with Kessel, where Minnesota trade didn't work out, and then they find another suitor where they found him with Arizona with Kessel. I think something similar would happen with Hornquist. If they want to trade him and you're already going down that path, I think they would make it work somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so a couple other things to talk about in the NHL world. I kind of brought up already Chris Tanev being a potential free agent target, and Rust drawing trade interest was in that article as well. We kind of already touched on our feelings on that. Brian Rust, who's been on the show before, actually. Yeah, I know a lot of people feel like he's not going to replicate the season that he just had, so his value might never be higher, and that's why the Penguins could potentially listen on trade offers to him. I don't know if I'm there. Like, I still think that he could potentially be getting better. Like, I think that he is the type of player that we saw last season. I think that just speaks to the player that he is. The fact that we talked about it on here, he worked on his shot a little bit. He really focused on just making everything happen faster. I do think he is that good of a player. I don't think that he overachieved this past year. I think he is, a capable 30-goal scorer in this league. If, obviously playing with a guy like Evgeny Malkin or Sidney Crosby. So, yeah, not that I don't think that he's like untouchable by any means, but I think he's a much better player than a lot of people want to give him credit for.
You would have to wow me with the return for me to want to trade Brian Rust, because I think he is similar to the player that we've seen this year. I mean, maybe he even has another level that we don't know about, but at worst, he's your third best winger on this team. So I don't think that in a trade that you're going to be able to replicate any of what he provides in a return, at least immediately. So I wouldn't trade him. I mean, you're trading a guy that can easily play with either Sid or Gino, and not everyone on your team can do that. I mean, these guys, they have certain play styles. We even asked him about it when he was on our show, and they like who they like, and both of them like playing with Brian Rust. So I don't think you can just brush that off your shoulder. I think that is important, and I think that he has to stay on the team because of that.
Stubbs mentioned a little bit ago. I wasn't even going to bring up that he said it. He said trade Malkin for 3 first-round picks. I mean, if a team wants to offer 3 first-round picks, yeah, we're willing to listen. But I don't know who's offering 3 first-round picks. I don't know how many players in the league are getting traded for 3 first-round picks.
Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon,
maybe.
Yeah. I would say those two.
I mean, hey, it only takes one GM, I guess. But back to this conversation, I feel like a lot of what we said, it honestly is kind of reminiscent, not to say that they're, similar players at all, but like when we were talking about Phil Kessel, not being able to, like what you get back in a trade is never going to replicate what Brian Rust brings on the ice. It's similar in the fact that they were both the past year the best player on the power play, which needs a hell of a lot of work. And hopefully Todd Reardon is able to help alleviate some of what we saw because it was terrible. I feel like there's a lot of similarities in what we would be losing in a trade of Brian Rust to when we were talking about Phil Kessel. Granted, they're two very different players, but both incredibly productive on offense, both incredibly productive when given the time on the power play. The power play went through Kessel, though. I think that's the big difference. But either way, in back-to-back years, we're going to trade our best player on the power play.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize again, we know that he can play with Sid and Malkin and be productive on both lines. Whoever you trade for, if it is an NHL winger, you do not know that they're going to play well with either of them. Yeah, you do not know how he's going to perform with either of those guys. So I just don't see it as being worth it to even take that risk. I mean, unless the team, like I said, unless team wows you, then I wouldn't take the risk of trading him.
Yeah, me either. Getting back to free agency, a guy that I would be willing to shell out some money for, but it's not going to happen. It sounds like Alex Pietrangelo is actually going to move on from the Blues. This is kind of unexpected, at least for me. I thought that there was no way he was going to play anywhere else. Now, apparently, the team has actually told him to test free agency, and I see a lot of the possibility of him taking like a 1-year, $10 million deal. Just because of the uncertainty with everything that happened in 2020, it might make sense for guys to take shorter term deals. Which, now that I'm thinking about that, what the heck? Why would we give Chris Tanev a 5-year deal when teams are giving out like 1- and 2-year deals max? Anyway, Alex Pietrangelo moving on from the Blues, which is quite the surprise, at least for me. I'm going to make a prediction right now, and I think it's a pretty popular one. My favorite for him to land is going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's what I was going to bring up, is that's been a team that's been connected to him for the past couple months. It is surprising, though, when anybody of his stature in the league will test free agency or leave in free agency, especially whenever he's won a Stanley Cup with a team. He was the captain of the team. It's just very odd.
Right-handed defenseman.
Yeah, but he's a very valuable asset. So I agree with you. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are the best contenders to get him. We just seen him linked to them for a while, and they've been wanting a right-handed defenseman for the past, I don't know, decade, maybe like 50 years. So yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But I'm wondering, like, if Toronto would want to give him just a 1-year deal, because I feel like if they get a right-handed defenseman, they'd want to lock him up. I mean, maybe they give him a 1-year deal to start, and then like mid-season, once we know more about the future of the league, they would give him another extension. But I feel like a guy like that, you're going to have a bidding war between different teams. And I mean, if it's just between like a 1-year deal or someone giving him a multi-year deal, if I'm him, I would go to the multi-year deal, depending on the team, I guess. But I just feel like it's going to be tough to sign him to a 1-year deal if there's multiple teams in on him.
Well, they were making it seem like the 1-year deal thing, that would be a lot of players' preference to do, because they feel like that they aren't going to get as much in that 1 year and they can cash out after that once it's kind of figured out what's going. If a guy gets like $10 million though, like we're talking about with Pietrangelo, and he can get that each year or for multiple years, of course, because he's not going to get any more than that in my opinion anyway. But for a guy that like Taylor Hall is a scenario where they're talking about makes more sense to take a 1-year deal and then try to cash out the following free agency. So yeah, I don't know. There's gonna be so many teams that are going to be interested. It's just the only one that like jumps off the page to me right away is Toronto, just because as you mentioned, it's been linked for a while. They want a right-handed fenceman. Barry did not work out there at all, that trade. So that to me has to be the clear-cut favorite. But there's going to be a lot of teams interested in him. And yeah, if it gets into a bidding war, can Toronto afford to do that?
Probably not, especially when you look at the money that they've got tied up in their forward group. I mean, you've got Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and John Tavares all making double digits. And I don't know if any other team has 3 guys making double digits just in their forwards. So it'll be pretty tough for them, especially, I mean, like it's rumored that they might move on from Frederick Anderson and get a new goalie. I mean, Matt Murray has been linked to them, and they'd have to give him a contract, say he goes there. So I don't know how financially they would make it work, but I feel like their top priority should be Alex Pietrangelo.
I think that they'd pretty much have to move Nylander for nothing, like just draft picks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they can make it work without doing that if it's just him, but if they do him and a goalie, I agree. There's no way they could keep everybody that they have.
Yeah. Okay. How did you feel about Leon Draisaitl winning the MVP award last night? He also won the Ted Lindsay Award, but he won MVP as well.
I mean, I get it. He scored the most points, which, I mean, they might as well change the award to whoever scores the most points. I mean, right now, the Art Ross is basically the Hart. If you score the most points, you win the Hart. If I had a vote, I would have voted Nathan MacKinnon as number 1, just because the award is who's the most valuable to your team and the most valuable person to their team in the league. And I feel like Nathan MacKinnon is more valuable to the Colorado Avalanche, or at least was this season, to the type of season that Colorado had, than Draisaitl was in Edmonton. Now, that's not to say that Draisaitl isn't valuable at all. That's far from the truth. I mean, him and McDavid are the entire team, really. But I just feel like I would have voted for MacKinnon.
Yeah, and a guy that I understand where they were in the standings, but and I think I would have gone with MacKinnon too. But another guy that I'm happy was towards the top there, Artemi Panarin, who it pretty much carries the New York Rangers. I understand because Zibanejad had a nice year, but their goaltending situation was terrible. And the rest of that team, you look at and you're thinking like, how is this team even? I mean, I understand that they finished 10th in the East, but had a full 82 games been played, they could have made it into the playoffs. I mean, they were only a couple points back, which is why they were part of the bubble. So had they gotten into the playoffs, had we played 82 games, they got into the playoffs. I think that he should have been a finalist for the MVP. So I'm glad that his name was in contention with those guys. But I think I agree where Nathan MacKinnon, I think would be my pick for the most valuable player. I don't have anything against, Leon Draisaitl winning it. I will say it is pretty cool to see an Edmonton Oiler win it that wasn't McDavid. I mean, that just speaks to, how good Draisaitl is on his own. And again, yeah, like you said, it is just them two in Edmonton. And him winning an MVP just shows how bad that situation is in Edmonton besides those two, and that they need to figure it out, because now you have 2 guys that have won MVPs on the same team that you can't figure out how to get past like the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, people draw similarities between Edmonton the past like 4 to 5 years and the Penguins a decade ago. And I mean, I think Draisaitl winning the MVP is just another similarity. I mean, Malkin won the MVP a few years after Sid did. And I just think there's a lot of similarities, but they haven't won a cup yet. And in my opinion, moving away from Edmonton, if watching Nathan MacKinnon this playoffs / qualifying round, I would say as of right now, I would say he's the best player in the world. I mean, not any taking anything away from McDavid. You can argue that he's the best player in the world, and he very well may be and probably is. But in my opinion, just watching McKinnon play, I would say McKinnon is the best player as of right now in hockey. That might change next season. Right now, it's Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened with Colorado's goaltending situation with Grubauer getting hurt, because you just wonder if they would have been able to end up, Dallas, who's now in the Stanley Cup final, what would have happened in that series if they would have had their number one goaltender. But yeah, well, Colorado, another team that might acquire Matt Murray, who knows? But yeah, man, that's so tough, because I feel like McKinnon is more suited to play a little bit of a physical game. He can take the bumps from guys. He can play on the boards a little bit. He doesn't lose much, if at all, from McDavid's speed. He can get from one end of the ice to the other in like a second, just like McDavid can. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely the debate to be had, which one you would start your franchise with. I think for me, it's McDavid, but it's close, and that's saying a lot, because I never thought that it would be that way. I just thought it was like Crosby to McDavid, open and shut. And there's actually a conversation to be had because of Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, and I mean, over the past few years, I'm saying McDavid's the best player. It's just at watching this playoffs,
Yeah,
I would say right now it's McKinnon. Or maybe he just performed the best. But
I just brought up about the Stars being in the Stanley Cup. They are playing the Lightning, series tied at 1. I mean, this has been an insane run for the Dallas Stars to the Cup. I think it ends. I don't think that they win the Stanley Cup over the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think it's finally their year. Game 1, though, I mean, that was a surprise, but I feel like, and I know that the Lightning kind of took their foot off the gas in Game 2, and the Stars were able to get back into it. I don't know if that was just them taking them too lightly in that game or what, but I just think, like I said, I just feel like it's finally the Lightning's year. Hats off to Anton Khudobin for stepping up in net and playing the way that he has. Tampa Bay is too much for me. And I think that they win this series probably in 6.
Yeah, I just think Tampa Bay is too overly skilled all around when it comes to offense, defense, goaltender. They probably have the best goaltender in the league right now. Arguably the best offense in the league. So I agree with you. I think that Tampa Bay will win this series. I would love to see Dallas. I mean, I'm cheering for Dallas if I'm picking one of the two. I would love to see Dallas win. But I agree with you. I think Tampa Bay wins, and I agree on the number 2. I think 6 games as well. It's good. I think that Dallas will win another one. But I just think it's inevitable. Tampa Bay's been trying to win this thing for the past 5 or 6 years. They've lost in the Stanley Cup final. They've lost in multiple Eastern Conference finals. So it's been a tough road, and I think it finally ends for them on top.
Ricky just mentioned too, apparently Stamkos is going to come back at some point in this series.
Yeah, that's another thing. They've been doing this without Stamkos, which is even more impressive part, because
I feel like they always are, though.
I know. He's another guy. He's constantly injured. If I was a fan of the Tampa Bay, I feel like that would get frustrating a lot.
Yeah, especially if they didn't have the other, the Kucherovs, Braden Point playing the way that, stepping up and being the player that he has, Kaloran and all those other guys. Yeah, if they didn't have the star power they did, I'm sure that those fans would be clamoring to. I mean, they might move on. I've seen a lot of talk actually about him getting moved this offseason, so we'll see. But yeah, I like Tampa Bay to win this series in 6.
Wonder what would have happened if Stamkos would have went to Toronto 4 years ago, and Tavares. I wonder where Tavares would have ended up if he would have stayed in the Islanders or gone to the Sharks or somewhere else.
I don't know. How about Joe Pavelski though? He's playing between the 2 teams that were his finalists.
I mean, if they win, if Dallas wins, he's probably going to win the Conn Smythe. Either him or Khudobin, I would say.
Yeah, I would think it would be Khudobin, but
it'd be pretty sick to see a goalie win the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, especially he wasn't the starter the whole time.
Yeah, who would win it from Tampa Bay? I don't know any of their scorers, who's leading in anything like that.
I would guess Braden Point. Actually, no, Kucherov leads in points, I think.
Dude, what a player for them Braden Point is. I mean, it's
Kucherov leads the playoffs in points with 28. Point has 26.
Okay, so I guess it's just a race to the Conn Smythe between those two.
Heiskanen, if Dallas wins, could be a possibility too. He has 23 points as a defenseman.
That's pretty good. Dark horse candidate.
Oh, Ricky just said Heiston in question mark. Yeah, I mean that's man. Kenobi would be hard to pick against though, just because I feel like Dallas isn't there if he's not in net.
I agree. Which is funny. I mean, we've seen twice now that a team does well with whenever Ben Bishop gets hurt. Like we saw it this year, and we saw it against us in the Eastern Conference Final in 2016.
Vasilevsky is so tough.
Yeah, I mean, I would say right now, I'd say he's the best goalie in the league.
Yeah, I've seen that like execs in the NHL say like Carey Price is the most fundamentally sound. Like the dude just doesn't give up rebounds. He's always in position. But Vasilevsky is the most talented goalie in the league, and that's probably the one that you would start a franchise with.
Yeah, I mean, and how old is Vasilevsky now? Probably like 25, 26.
Yeah.
So I agree. I mean, Carey Price is older. I mean, whenever I've said it for years, and it's been the same for the past decade. If Carey Price is on, he's on. Like he's the best, but he's not always on, obviously. But yeah, Vasilevsky's been amazing for Tampa Bay.
Moving on to our Pirates talk. Well, actually, first we'll cover some just topics in the MLB in general. Justin Verlander having Tommy John surgery. I believe he's 37 or 38 years old. Obviously, not going to pitch this year, not going to pitch next year. I mean, he's going to attempt to come back, but I mean, at this point, I mean, you got to give it up to him. This is kind of like, Big Ben coming back from the injury that he did. Like at that point in your career, with everything you've accomplished, you could easily hang him up. So I don't know if he's doing this to prove it to himself or what he's doing, trying to come back here. It's going to be interesting to see if he can, though. A guy that we know how good Justin Verlander was. We kind of felt like he was falling off, goes to Houston, has a resurgence. And now the Tommy John, again, the age to me plays more into his profession here than a guy like Ben Roethlisberger. So I don't love his chances of coming back from this and being the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, at his age, you wonder what the surgery is going to do to his arm when it comes in terms of like velocity. Because I mean, he's not going to pitch for 2 years, so he might be a completely different pitcher by the time he gets back. I mean, it's just a shame. Verlander's he's been a great pitcher his whole career, and for it to happen this late in his career, I would hate that. I mean, I would much rather have it early on.
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of gotten to the point where I'm not going to say it's a routine or a norm, but you see a lot of guys get it and they come back and be the same, if not better. But it's just a question mark for me because of how old he is to be having this procedure done. And maybe he'll prove us wrong, but I don't see him coming back and being the same guy. And I mean, like I said, hats off to him for trying to come back from this because he could easily hang him up. He has nothing left to prove to anybody. So
would he still be on Houston? I don't know how long his deal is with them.
That's the thing. I think that it would be. I thought next year was the last year, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so he'd be a free agent by the next time he would be able to pitch.
I think so. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on that, but
want to come to Pittsburgh?
Huh?
I said, want to come to Pittsburgh?
I mean, I guess it would sell tickets, maybe.
Yeah, just like a 1-year deal.
Hopefully
we're selling tickets by then.
2022, free agent.
Yeah, he will be. So he turns 38 in February. So by the next time he pitches, he'll be 39 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible, but for someone that old, getting Tommy John,
maybe he'll come back like Bartolo Colon.
Maybe he'll develop a knuckleball.
A guy that did retire, Ubaldo Jimenez, who we saw. I mean, what a short peak that guy had with the Rockies, but he was so dominant for a short period of time. But he finally hangs him up. I mean, I feel like I haven't heard his name in a while anyway. But again, a guy that really, at least for, I don't know, was it just like a year? Was it even 2 years that he was that dominant?
I'm looking at his stats right now. It was just 1 year, really. Like, okay, he didn't have a bad year in like 2013, but his All-Star year was in 2010. His ERA was 2.88. Let's see. He had 214 strikeouts. Let's see. His win-loss record was 19-8. So, yeah, I mean, that's really the only year looking at his stats that really stands out.
Yeah, Huh.
I mean, the year before that wasn't bad. He had a 3.47 ERA and 198 strikeouts. So I guess that was kind of like a ramp up to that All-Star year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's the only year that he was an All-Star. And in that year, he finished third in Cy Young voting.
Interesting. Okay. So the Pirates decided to win last night for some reason. The tragic number, I believe, is still at 3 for them to clinch that first overall
The
pick.
tragic number?
Yeah. That's what people have been saying on Twitter. So according to Jeff Passan, or Passan, however it's pronounced, I think it's Passan. Yeah. The number 1 pick will be just the team that has the worst record this year. Thank God.
That is the best news that the Pirates could receive this year, or best baseball news in general for any Pirates fan this year.
I mean, in my opinion, it's the way it should be. I mean, if you're playing a season, they did everything to make the season happen. It should be treated, as much like a regular season as they can, and that includes how you determine the draft picks. So I feel like this is the way it should have been done. I'm not being biased. That's what I would have said if they didn't have the worst record. So, yes, the Pirates, with the way that they played this year, definitely deserve that number 1 pick. And, not from a baseball standpoint, but I think that we need to kind of touch on the news that came out yesterday. There's still a lot of details that we don't know about, so I'm not going to give like my full opinion on it. That might be given next week when we learn more about the situation. What we do know is O'Neal Cruz in the Dominican struck and killed 3 Dominican citizens who were on a motorcycle. We're not sure if there was alcohol involved or not. The first report said that there was no alcohol in play. Later on, last night, it came out that there was alcohol in his system. Now, I guess the question would be, was it over the legal limit? I saw you actually having a conversation about that with somebody earlier on Twitter about the legal limit in the Dominican. But I mean, it's a terrible situation regardless. Throw baseball out the window. 3 people lost their lives. People lost a family member due to this, regardless of if he was drinking or not. And if he was, and for him, either he took 3 people's lives because he was being an idiot and drinking, or it was a complete accident, but he still has to live with that for the rest of his lives. There's no positive to this story. It sucks all around. And like I said, throw baseball at the window for now, but it does involve, a guy that we were very hopeful of being a part of the Pirates' future.
Yeah, I agree. It's a terrible situation. You just feel for the families of those involved. I mean, just for that to happen, whether there was alcohol or not involved, for that to happen either way would just be so scarring on you as a person, I feel like, because I can't even imagine being in that situation where I could potentially be the one to cause something like that. So whether he had alcohol or not, that's one thing. But I mean, if he did, what an idiot. I mean, I was just saying before, and then, like you said, we don't want to predetermine anything. We don't want to say anything before anything comes out because we don't know everything. But I looked up the legal limit in the Dominican Republic is 0.03, which I was curious, so I looked up, and
was that like 2 beers?
It's less than 2 beers.
Oh, okay.
So because I looked up for the average male, 2 beers is 0.05 in your system.
Okay.
So it's less than 2 beers. I mean, I really hope that report is wrong. But if it is, then that's just a shame on him. And I feel terrible for those families. I mean, I just don't know why someone in that position where you're this young talent, you're the 60th top prospect in baseball. I don't know why you would put yourself into that position. Now, if it's a freak accident, that's one thing. But if there is alcohol involved, why would you jeopardize your entire career, your entire future, just for that dumb decision? It makes no sense to me. I will never understand anybody doing anything like that.
He just got back to the Dominican too because
he's been there for 4 days.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, you have to let these guys live, and you can't blame the organization. But what if if the organization would have made the decision that he was just going to stay here, they weren't going to break from camp like that, or whatever. I mean, I don't know. There's no silver lining here. There's not a best case scenario. I mean, for him, there might be, and for his baseball playing future, but when you like, it's not about that. So there's no, best case scenario to this situation. And it sucks, but we're going to find out more about it. We'll find out if there was alcohol, how much alcohol there was, and what the charges would be. We saw up to like 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
And it would obviously end his playing career. Not that it matters.
It's just a terrible situation, like you said, all around. Either scenario, it's just bad.
A good situation. Friend of the show, Jared Oliva, has made his Pirates debut. He got an at bat the other night, and then last night made his first career start. Tonight, he will make his first career start in his home in center field, where I know Brian Reynolds, wants to be the center fielder for this team. Defensively, Jared Oliva is definitely more suited to do that. His game is
no bias, by the way.
No, I mean, this guy steals 30 bases. He's only has one career error in the minors. I mean, this is where his, whatever he gives you with his bat, you hope that plays to the major league level. But we know that the defense and what he's going to do on the base is going to be good. And that's why, at least in my opinion, he needs to be given a shot to be the center fielder. And Brian Reynolds, playing left field at PNC, even if it were to be Jared there, I guess, we know that from the McCutchen-Marte days, whoever's the left fielder, it's essentially like a second center fielder. So they need that to happen at PNC Park regardless. So, I mean, whatever. If they want to throw Brian Reynolds in there, if it will make him happy to be the center fielder for this team and Jared in left field, so be it. But I'm excited to see Jared in center tonight. Selfishly, I wish we were able to be there for these games.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, I tweeted him last night just saying that I wish we could be there in person, because we had talked about that for like multiple years. Whenever Jared's going to get his debut, that we're going to be there, and then COVID had to go and ruin that. But it was fun just like watching, because I was watching the fantasy show last night with you and Donnie. Go check that out, by the way, everybody. And I had on my other monitor, I had the game up, and just seeing him at bat and seeing him in the field, it was like, it was honestly like I was a proud father. And like that's like the description I can have, even though that's far from the truth. But it's just like getting to know these guys and the multiple guys that we've got to know in the organization, and seeing them excel and do well, and seeing him be able to make his debut the other night and then being able to start yesterday. It was just a great feeling, and it's a great dude, and I'm so happy for him. And to talk about baseball more so, I agree with you. I would put Jared in center field, because, I mean, at PNC Park, left and center, it's very similar, like you said. So it's basically having two center fielders. But, I mean, like if Brian Reynolds has like a little ego boost and he wants to be in the center fielder, it is what it is. I mean, either way could work, but I'm just excited for him to be in center field tonight.
Yeah, I was talking to him last night, actually. His phone's been going crazy. He's trying to get back to everybody, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, text messaging. But I was messaging him last night about it because I told him I bought his jersey already. And he was like, I mean, that's awesome, dude, and I appreciate it, but I'm not sure I'm going to be keeping 76. And then I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll just have you sign it so I can frame it and put it with my original Jeff one, because he switched his number as well. And yeah, he was just like just talking about the experiences that he had, obviously like his first start, the team has a walk-off home run in his first start. It wasn't him that hit it, but just like being part of that, he said was really cool. And then Bly was texting me, his roommate and teammate, and saying like how he cried when he found out that Jared was going up to the Pirates. And it's just, I mean, those two, their relationship's awesome. And it's awesome to be a small part of those guys' lives. And I said, selfishly, I wish we were there, but obviously like thinking about his family too, like I wish they were able to be there to see this happening. But hopefully there's a lot more of these starts to come anyway. And we'll all be there all together soon enough. And I told Bly he needs to work his butt off to get up there with Jared so we can go watch both of them and then go paint the town red after the game.
That'd be awesome. Hopefully Jared can get his first hit tonight.
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I was going to tweet that actually and predict it. So
look at you.
But what the last night, his first at bat, he hits 102 at Baez, which if it's not Baez at short, that's a hit. I mean, we know Jared's fast enough to beat out most ground balls hit, like, because it was kind of into the hole between third and short anyway. Like Baez had to cover a decent bit of ground to get to the ball, let alone make the throw as well. If it's not Baez at short, Jared has an infield single in his first at bat of his first start.
Did you tell me Derek Jeter wouldn't have stopped that?
But of course, no. Derek Jeter wouldn't have even gotten to the ball. That thing would have been in left field.
Sargent here. He's probably gonna be pissed.
What's Tyler saying? It's good. It's a good situation for an organization that clearly needs one. Yeah. It's kind of, we were talking about how bad of a situation the Cruz situation is. So yeah, this is a feel good moment. If you guys, don't know about Jared's story, like he wasn't even a starter in high school baseball. And now we're talking to a guy that's made his way to the major league. You can, if you Google his name, you can find all the stories, but walked on at Arizona. I mean, this is a guy that wasn't supposed to be here and is. And I think that you can just attribute that to his work ethic and the people that he's surrounded himself with, and just be willing to do whatever it takes to turn himself into a Major League Baseball player. Didn't end up, I mean, maybe, it's obviously just due to this weird season. Didn't even take him getting a AAA at bat to get to the majors. So that's awesome in itself.
That's true. And if you're someone that hasn't heard the name Jared Oliva, then you probably haven't been following us for very long, because we've been on his train for probably the past 2 years or so.
2 years, yeah.
Over 2 years. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. Also, I don't know if you saw the broadcast, because were you watching the game whenever you were doing the fantasy show as well? Like, did you have it up on your? Because I could tell you were like looking up.
I took a picture of them showing him doing, like, talking to the media at one point too. So that's what I thought you were going to bring up. But yeah, I had YouTube on my phone.
I was going to bring up, because you probably didn't have the sound on. They were saying instead of Oliva, they were saying Oliva.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we didn't say it right at first.
Yeah, we just said Oliva.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to have to correct that. Maybe I'll tweet at them. Bucks Booth.
Hey, my very good friend Jared Oliva says say his name right.
See, that's a little different than me saying my very good personal friend Brian Rust or Minka Fitzpatrick. Like, Jared and I actually are friends, unlike those.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have actually been out to eat with this guy. Like, we actually know him on a personal level.
He can throw down some beer, so say that. I think that's a good stopping point for this show. If you're watching on YouTube, not much is going to change. We're going to take a quick pause to change the show over to our All Steelers talk. But first things first, we do have a Kevin Newman bat to give away. Do you have that bat with you, Tyler?
Yeah, let me grab it real quick.
Okay.
It's just in my closet. So here it is. I have not taken it out of its packaging since I got it, so it's been sealed the entire time, but it's an autographed Kevin Newman bat. Autograph, you can see, is right there. Unfortunately, it's not used, but I feel like an autograph is good enough. Here's the COA. So, yeah, this is what we're giving away. It's very nice.
Facts. Okay. So I have a random number generator that I'm going to use for this. It's going to be a longer process for me. For you guys, you obviously won't have to do or know anything. It just kind of depends on what number this tells me and what our subscriber list looks like. Thank you to, we're doing this because we passed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you guys. We're at 1,019 as of right now. So pick a random number, and it gave me 108, which, looking at our subscriber list, that is going to be Mandy Peachy. I believe that's how that's pronounced. Peachee. Assuming that you aren't in here right now, I will reach out to you on Twitter as well. I believe I've seen you tweet at us. So thank you for your support. Thank you, everybody, for your support. But congratulations. We will reach out to you and get you this Kevin Newman autographed bat. There it is. Great display as well. Tyler does not come with a bat to hold it. So
no.
Okay. Other than that, Keats Barbershop. It's an old-fashioned barbershop. It's located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturday. Every Tuesday, he does $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, that's Keats Barbershop, 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Around the 412 Baseball and Hockey podcast. This has been a presentation of Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, and more. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Around the 412. Follow them on Twitter at Crowworthy. Visit the Pittsburgh City page at crowworthy.com. for podcasts such as this one, blogs, gambling advice, all that good stuff, and more. If you're watching on YouTube, like I said, we're not going anywhere. We'll be right here for the Steelers talk. If you're listening back to this, be sure to head over to the YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification bell, watch some videos, leave some comments, like the videos, do it all. That's the best way that you guys can support us. So thank you for your support, your continued support, and your ongoing support. I know 60% of the people that watch our stuff currently aren't subscribed. So please do that. Please don't make me beg. So thanks everybody for watching / listening. YouTube, we will be right back. Bye-bye. All right, let me change the stuff over.
Well, technically YouTube, we're still here. We're not right back. We'll just
you
can still type in chat.
Talking about sports.
Yeah, you can actually still type in chat and stuff if you want. We're just chilling here now. Let me try to finish this up. I wanted to write down my picks for the bets. That way I didn't have to think on the spot. Also, I forgot to mention that we were ending, so I didn't want to interrupt. The Pirates' record as of right now, assuming it doesn't get worse or better, the record percentage is .291. And all time, that would be 27th worst. And in the modern era, so 1900 to now, would be tied for 16th.
Stubbs has a question for you in the YouTube chat before we start.
Let me go look. I don't have YouTube open because it lags my stream, or lags our chat. How long do eyebrows take to grow back, you think? So I actually Googled that, and it takes for them fully, I think it said 4 to 6 months. So you're going to be looking at this for a while, which I still have eyebrows, thankfully. They are real and everything, all that. They're just a lot thinner and more fierce. Look at that. Look at that angle. Look at that. Sick.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'll just wing the last few. I've already got half of them down. Oh, well.
I gotta do something actually.
All right.
My controller just died on my PlayStation, so my microphone turned off, and now my sound's coming through my TV.
Useless.
Power off.
All right. Yeah, Carl. He said he didn't expect much from the Pirates this season, but I expect a little better than this. Yeah, I thought they'd win, somewhere between 20 to 23 games out of 60. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think I said 22 to 24 wins or something like that. Low 20s. Obviously, they're trash.
All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Around the 412. We are part of allsteelers.com and proudly presented by Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, and more. Follow at Crowworthy on Twitter, and you can visit us at crowworthy.com. You can also check out the Crowworthy Pittsburgh City page for podcasts like this one, blogs, and more. I'm Tyler, and with me as always is Smitty. What's going on, my man?
Wow, long time no talk.
I know, it's been about actually really 10 seconds.
Yeah, right around there. We do have some stuff that we want to give away. I think it'd be cool if we broke it up at 3 different points. So let's just kick off the show by giving something away.
Let's do it.
So I got 2 of the things that we're giving away right in front of me. A Stephon Tuitt jersey and a Steven Nelson jersey. Whoever can type one of those two players first, that's which one we'll give away. You don't win it. You just got to tell me which one we're giving away. So Nelson or Tuitt first, guys.
All right, let's see which one is gonna be first. I've got the chat open now too, so
Okay.
I can look as well. But yeah, we've got a few jerseys to give away.
3.
And I have a little idea of how to show mine, even though I don't physically have it yet.
Yeah, we're waiting on the Rocky Blyer one that we're giving away. Shout out to Pristine Auctions. Steve Nelson. All right. So this is Steven Nelson jersey. Obviously, it's not opened yet. It's from Total Sports Enterprises, who he is signed with. Hey, Siri. Can you give me a random number between 1 and 1019?
Okay. I found this on the web for can you give me a random number?
No. Siri. Hey, Siri.
This was a lot easier last time.
Give me a random number between 1 and 1019.
A random number between 1 and 1019 is 277.
All right, everybody heard that. 277. So I will go to our subscriber list here and go find who number 277 is.
And believe it or not, people, this is probably the easiest way we had to do it. We couldn't really figure out how to do it otherwise, besides people being in here and commenting, and that wouldn't give everybody a fair chance for who subscribed. But we are thankful for everybody that's in here right now and thankful for everybody that subscribed. We're totally stoked to hit 1,000. And also, I think it's pretty awesome to see, instead of just the actual number, you see right now it says 1.01K. I like the K being there instead of the actual number. Pretty sick.
Oh, wow. It's actually somebody we know.
Really?
Congratulations to Cody Plain.
Oh, wow.
Subscriber 277.
Nice.
You won the Steven Nelson jersey. I don't know if you're in here right now. Probably not, but I will reach out to you. Okay.
Don't worry, folks. We still have 2 jerseys to give away, though.
Yes, stick around. We're not going anywhere yet. We're not going to do those giveaways quite yet, though, either. I want to tell you guys a little bit about one of our sponsors, who is Manscaped. So support for Around the 412 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. I have it. Tyler has it. Our friends have them. This thing is awesome. The Lawnmower 3.0, which is the newest in its line, is amazing. All the accessories that come with it, all the extra stuff. We just recently got the cologne and the body wash as well, which is awesome. I think I'm going to full-time make the switch from Old Spice body wash to Manscaped body wash. I love the scent that much. They spent 18 months perfecting this thing. That's a year and a half. That's more time than most people spend at a job. So just a little bit of an insight there. More time than I spent at most of my jobs, actually. The 3rd generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin-safe technology pioneered by Manscaped themselves. It lasts up to 90 minutes off of its charger. Don't know why you would need that long, but there you go. It's waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. It has an LED light to illuminate the grooming area for closer, more precise trimming. It has a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. Its charging stand is USB. If you're listening to me talk right now, I think you need to get on the action, just like I have, just like Tyler has, just like all her friends have. 20% off at manscaped.com, plus free shipping when you use the code 412 at checkout. 412 at checkout gets you 20% off, plus free shipping. Manscaped.com. Again, the Perfect Package 3.0 is out. Comes with the Lawnmower 3.0, the ball toner, the ball deodorant, the carrying case, one replacement blade. The magazine type thing that it comes with is kind of funny. The supposed to catch your clippings. That's pretty fun. That's a nice accessory to have with it, and also a pair of boxers.
Yeah, I love it. It's by far better than anything that I've ever used.
Spoken right from the mouth of somebody that uses it.
Yeah, and I will say I like the scent of both the body odor, or not body odor. Jeez, body wash. For men's body odor, use the body wash and cologne. I love both scents. And for for the body wash, the only body wash that I ever have used were the Irish Spring, and this is not me. Normally, I said in the last show, I normally use just a bar of soap, but I've only used 2, and one of them is Irish Spring, and one of them is Old Spice. But I like the Manscaped better than all of those.
Facts. So I'm actually very excited for this show. I really enjoyed the betting segment that we've added, that dynamic to the show, which we will do to wrap up. That's going to be the last thing that we do, but I'm looking forward to it. I know that we didn't do all that great with it last week, especially kicking off with a Thursday night football game, which went completely opposite the way that I thought it was going to.
Please, try to, I'm begging all of you who listen, do not keep track of us and like tweet us later. Don't do that.
No, but we'll try to get better. We'll improve this week and try to get better every week. But let's start with just some news and notes around the NFL. Chargers doctor puncher. This isn't funny by any means. I mean, this is a guy's, but like, so their team.
He's doctor, laughing.
The team doctor punctures Tyrod Taylor's lung while giving him a shot for his cracked ribs.
How does that even happen?
I mean, I got a feel for the guy because, like, people make mistakes, but good Lord.
Everybody has those days.
No, we're not doing
that. Yeah, I mean, that sucks. I can't imagine being him and, like realizing what he did, like, immediately. I feel like as a doctor, you probably realize what you did. And just him being
because he, like, Tyrod Taylor goes out there, he's sitting on the bench, like acting as if he's going to start until pretty much a minute before kickoff.
Well, yeah, Herbert said he didn't find out he was starting until like 5 or 6 seconds before they kicked off the ball. So, I mean, that's pretty nutty. I don't think I've ever seen an injury like that or an injury report like that, if you can count it. I mean, I guess it is an injury. It's just not like a football injury. It's very weird. But yeah, it's a very freak accident, I feel like. I mean, has he been fired or is he going to lose his job? I
didn't see anything about that.
I feel bad because I feel like he's probably been with the team for a while if he's a team doctor, and just like having this freak accident, because obviously he didn't mean to do it. It's just a weird scenario, like getting a shot for, what do you have, cracked ribs, and then you puncture a lung. That's just like a freak accident, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think that, the way that this is going to play out now, Justin Herbert is going to be the starter, at least for 1 week, and we'll see how long this looms. But that should have been the case regardless. I will say, we don't want to see Tyrod Taylor, anything happen to him, but Justin Herbert should be given the keys to the Chargers offense regardless. I mean, the fact that they were even in that football game with the reigning Super Bowl champs and Patrick Mahomes. And Herbert, I know that he didn't look perfect or anything, but he definitely showed some flashes. And that offense, I mean, its potential relies on Justin Herbert. Tyrod Taylor is not doing anything to help that offense and its playmakers.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that offense, and I just immediately thought of all the people that we met either at the Senior Bowl or on Twitter that just like criticized and hammered Herbert because they never understood the hype. And I'm like, well, I guess he like showed us why he was hyped up a little bit. I mean, I think he had a lot of murky mistakes. I feel like taking sacks when he should have thrown the ball away as that. But overall, I mean, he looked good. He took the reigning Super Bowl champions to overtime. I mean, that's not something that a lot of rookie quarterbacks would be able to do. So I was very impressed with him, and he should be the starter here from here on out.
Yeah, and I think another thing to go back to, Stubbs mentioned it, and I saw that as well because a couple players were commenting on it. Is that as soon as like the team, you accept treatment from the team, you can't sue them for whatever happens.
Okay.
So, and it's a risk that you take. They tell you that it can happen when you are getting an injection like that in that area, that something could happen. Yeah, it's more scary to me that, like you said, that they realized right away. I'm not so sure that was the case because I don't know that he steps on the football field otherwise. That's the scarier part to me, is that he was out there on the sidelines until he started feeling pain in his chest, and then he left.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's I feel like your breathing would be messed up too if you punctured a lung as well. I mean, not only just the pain, I feel like you would not necessarily. I mean, it's a needle, so maybe not the shortness of breath, but like I feel like you definitely feel like something's off. I mean, I have no idea how to relate to that, but yeah, it's just very weird accident.
Yeah, he also mentioned when it happened to Jerome Bettis, not his lung, but they administered like a shot, I guess, in his leg, and it went numb or
Mm,
something during a playoff game, which I actually don't remember, but
I don't either.
I'm sure it's not like things like that aren't that uncommon. It's just this is new. This is a fresh thing for us to talk about, and it's led to a quarterback now starting that a lot of people feel like should have been the starter regardless.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think there's any excuse to having Tyrod go back in there, even if he's capable. I feel like until Herbert shows that he should be taken out, he should be given the reins as the starting quarterback.
Yeah, and then another thing to talk about. We have a couple of topics to talk about that aren't Steelers related. I mean, the injuries that we saw around the league in week 2. I know that we were hit pretty tough going into the season, and then in week 1, obviously losing Zach Banner and Wisniewski. But week 2, the star power of the guys too. I mean, you hate to see anybody get hurt, but Saquon's done, Nick Bosa's done, Cortland Sutton's done, McCaffrey was put on IR. He's going to miss at least 3 games. Michael Thomas is hurt right now. Drew Lock's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, just the injuries around the league that we've seen, it's unfortunate. I don't know if it ties in with the lack of preseason or what it is. These guys weren't taking a ton of contact, and they say similar to boxers sparring, you want to have those preseason games. That's what they do provide, is you kind of get to like ramp up to that level of intensity that you see in the regular season. So I don't know if you can attribute these injuries to that, or if you can attribute them to MetLife Stadium, because there's players complaining about that field right now as well. But either way, I mean, it just sucks for the league as a whole. Like I said, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but when it's the faces of franchises that we're talking about getting hurt, it's just not good for the league.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I probably wouldn't attribute it to like no preseason, because obviously they do ramp up to the season, but things like a torn ACL, I just can't really attribute that to not having a preseason. I can't. I feel like even though it's so common in sports and especially in football, it's still like a freak accident to tear your ACL. And I just don't think that having preseason games, especially as like for someone that's like Saquon or Cortland Sutton, you're probably only playing in 1 or 2 of those games, and you're probably only playing like a half in one of those games, or maybe even a quarter. So I just feel like most of it is just freak accidents. And I can't remember in our lifetime one day or one weekend that had so many injuries all at once. I mean, can you? Because in the NFL, I can't remember anything like this.
No, and that's what a lot of people were saying too. And I don't know if it's more, like I said, the star power of the guys or what, but it definitely seems that way, that it's more than any other week. It just seems like an anomaly. And like I said, I mean, it sucks to see anybody get hurt, but the number of guys and the amount of guys who are guys that make the league fun to watch are the guys that went down. So it sucks. We have some people in the comments. I expect Herbert to start for the rest of the season unless something goes exceptionally downhill. The Chargers are all in on him. Yeah, I think if the Chargers want any chance of competing for a playoff spot, it has to be Justin Herbert as the starter. I don't think Tyrod Taylor brings much to that offense. I mean, he's a game manager. If he's your quarterback, you're looking for him to not turn the ball over. You're going to be a run heavy offense. He's going to be a check down king, 5 to 10 yards. Justin Herbert, gives them the potential to unlock, the best out of Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Hunter Henry and the other playmakers on that offense. So I agree. I think Justin Herbert has to be the starter going forward. And, it's unfortunate that Tyrod Taylor had to get injured for it to happen. But I think ultimately that this is the best thing for the Chargers as far as, actual football goes. And yeah, the 49ers, they also mentioned in the 49ers game, they were blaming the field conditions at MetLife. And yeah, that's now 3 players that have suffered season-ending injuries at MetLife Stadium.
I mean, were they saying what was wrong with the field?
I didn't see.
Do they have real grass?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know if it's a way, because if it's turf, I don't know if it's just like the way it was treated, or if it's like whether it's real grass, like whether it's the way it was cut or anything like that. Because I mean, we see like complaints in other leagues, like we've seen in basketball where like the court could be slippery or anything like that. Hockey, the ice is too like slushy or stuff like that. But football, we don't really see that too much, where like people complain about the playing surface. So it's just, especially at one specific stadium.
They actually just had Act Global Speed SF5 field turf installed in 2020.
I mean, maybe they should go back to whatever they had before that because obviously people don't like it.
Yeah, apparently. Hey, Kevin, what's going on? They said the turf was sticky or something like that.
I mean, maybe it's just the way that it was treated, and they needed to get it like resurfaced or something. I don't know.
We'll see if people continue to complain about it. There's another game there this weekend. So, and then the last thing to talk about, also I guess kind of tying in with MetLife Stadium, the Giants, after losing Saquon Barkley for the season, signed Devontae Freeman, which, I mean, we kind of touched on the fantasy impact on the fantasy show last night, which I don't see much there. We saw that their offensive line is not a very good one. And granted, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make most offensive lines look like that, in my opinion, throughout the season. But the Giants also weren't able to run on the Bears, and granted, that's also a pretty tough defense. I just think that they're going to be running into brick walls pretty much all season. I think that the receiving back there, Dion Lewis, probably brings more value to them. Devontae Freeman hasn't played football in a year. He wasn't with them during training camp. He's going to go in there and have to learn a whole new system. I get it's a body to get some touches. It is what it is, but it's definitely not, as newsworthy as a team signing Devontae Freeman had it been, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he was good back in his heyday, but as of right now in 2020, I just don't see him adding a ton of value to that team, especially with the team that they have, with the offensive line issues that they have. The run game on that team is just a black hole. I mean, even with Saquon, it wasn't good. So I just don't think that it's going to help immensely, if at all. I don't see him getting a ton of carries either. Like, I don't think he's going to be automatically the number one guy. So, I mean, it's news, but I don't think it's that big of news for them.
Yeah, they just lost Sterling Shepard as well to IR with turf toe. So, turf toe, that figures. A Giants receiver playing at MetLife Stadium getting turf toe.
Maybe that'll help up Evan Ingram, like you brought up on the show last night.
Man, what a
he's a huge, like you said, he's a huge what if scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if because he's got all the tools to be a great tight end.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about some Steelers. Before we get into that, I think we should give away the Tuitt jersey. And then we'll save Rocky for last. I think most people are considering that like the grand prize of this. So we'll do that one last. Again, we already gave away the Nelson jersey and the Newman bat earlier in the night. Stephon Tuitt jersey, autographed. It's got the JSA authentication right there.
I like that signature.
Yeah.
Clean,
definitely
nice,
not
thick
definitely
signature.
Not Juju-esque, but
yeah, his is very pretty. I love the way his signature looks on a helmet. But yeah, so this is 2 of 3. We've had these for a while too, which is crazy. We've been wanting to give these away for a long time.
Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 1019.
A random number between 1 and 1019 is 630.
630. Okay.
Have fun figuring that out. Like I said before,
no,
it's a very thing. Oh well. Yeah, that's true, because originally I thought it wasn't going to be numbered, but obviously people that are listening or watching back, it's very scuffed how we're doing this. We literally just took a list of our subscribers that are numbered, and we're picking a random number between 1 and 1019 because that's the easiest way to do it. Because we couldn't find a way where we could just put a list of our subscribers and find 4 winners in some sort of contest generator, and otherwise we'd have to like have everybody comment, and we wanted everybody that subscribed to us to be able to give these giveaways. So this was the easiest way. So it's not the prettiest on the show, but it is what it is. Someone's going to win a jersey either way.
Yeah, I don't know if too many people are going to complain about the opportunity to win a jersey regardless of how it's done. Okay, let's see here. I'm on the right page.
The anticipation is killing me. And I'm talking to like fill the air, but I realize I'm probably interrupting Smitty.
To Chris Steigerwald. A Steigerwald, huh? Wonder if that's any relation.
I don't know.
All right, Chris Steigerwald wins the Stephon Tuitt jersey. We still have the Rocky Bleier one to give away, which we will do after we are done with the discussion. I saw somebody just come into the chat, and I'm gonna have to go back on my phone and see what they said because it disappeared on my screen already. I know Ken was in here. Hey Ken, how you doing? What did you think of Kevin Dotson's first start? Hey, that's actually one of the topics, so that's perfect. That's where we're going to move on to with the Steelers now being 2-0 after their win against the Denver Broncos on Sunday in the opener of the 2020 season at Heinz Field. Kevin Dotson having to fill in for David DeCastro. David DeCastro missing a second straight game, but it looks like that will not get to 3 as he is back at practice this week. But that being said, Kevin Dotson, I don't know how you could have asked anything more of him. I mean, he went in there and did exactly what you and I thought he would. I mean, we had been pounding the table for him to actually open up the season as the starting guard because we knew David DeCastro wasn't going to be ready. And we said we would have liked to have seen him over Wisniewski, nothing against him, but we just think that highly of Kevin Dotson, think this is a guy that could potentially be a Pro Bowl guard in this league. I mean, that's how good we think he is. I have no idea why he wasn't invited to the NFL Combine, but it played into the Steelers' favor. I think if he would have went there, he would have torn it up and it ended up playing himself into the first couple rounds. So I'm very thankful that he fell to the 4th round. I'm happy he's a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's happy he's a Pittsburgh Steeler, obviously. I think it's awesome that Ben gave him the game ball to give to his dad. That's just another great storyline of, the early part of the 2020 season. Kevin Dotson, in his first start, he impressed the hell out of me. I think everybody in Steelers Nation would agree with that. But I got to give props to Chooks, too. I mean, those guys, the right side did not allow a single pressure combined. But, yeah, I mean, you want to talk about Kevin Dotson specifically? I thought he was phenomenal, and I don't know how anybody could think anything else.
I agree with you. He was amazing. I was specifically watching him on a lot of plays, even though the linemen are not what a lot of people are watching during a football game. I was watching him and Chooks, and they did an amazing job. He's everything that I thought he would be, at least in that one game, because you got an All-American in the 4th round, and I was talking with Jamal after the game, actually, and we were saying how, that was, our favorite pick of the draft because we think that could be the highest value pick. I mean, getting that guy in the 4th round, which could potentially be a Pro Bowl pick, I mean, we're really excited for this guy, and I thought he played amazing, and for how well that both of them played with the Castro coming back, it kind of makes it a little tougher. Who's you're going to be your starting 5 linemen now? I mean, are you going to keep those 2 in the game? What do you do with Filer? It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I know Bob Labriola, who's part of the Steelers.com. He does the asked and answered thing, at least once a week. He might do it a couple times. Somebody actually asked about taking Filer out of the lineup and having Dotson and DeCastro and then Chooks as your tackle. And I like Matt Filer a lot too. I think that this is just a good problem that they have. I mean, you can never have too much depth on the offensive line. It's probably the position or the part of the team. Obviously you want to have a capable backup, but when you talk about depth of a team, I think the offensive line is really where that starts. You got to have a good line. And I think, I'm happy that we have that depth now. This team could very easily have folded when you talk about losing David DeCastro and then you're starting right tackle and Zach Banner. And it's nice to know that we have guys like Kevin Dotson and Chooks Okorafor behind those guys to step in and play like they are the actual starter and have been here and done that. And Kevin Dotson in his first career start, like I said, I mean, there's nothing to complain about. He did everything that you could ask and more. And, you just have to have a smile on your face about it because it's a guy that grew up a Steelers fan and is now getting to protect the quarterback of his favorite team growing up. So it's an awesome story and it's playing out great on the football field to this point. But I think with David DeCastro coming back, I would expect that Dotson would then go back to the bench. It's hard for me to say this, and I know that it's kind of a hot take, and I'm just throwing the scenario out there. What if they put Chooks at left tackle, Filer at right tackle, Dotson at guard, Villanueva's out?
I mean, that's not a bad idea. Personally, do I think it will happen? No, I don't think it will happen. But it would be fun. I will say that. But I do think that both of them prove that they have every right to play just like anyone else on that offensive line group. They can hang, and they did more than just hang. They were very impressive, and I'm happy that we have all of them. It's like you said, it's a good problem to have. I mean, I was thinking of scenarios in my head today. I was like, are they just gonna keep Chooks and tackle and take Dotson out? Are they gonna move Dotson to left guard and move Filer to tackle and take Chooks out or take Filer out or whatever? And it's just like you said, it's tough tough problem to have, but it's a good one.
Yeah, who was? I don't even think it was related to football. Oh, it was when Jeff was on our show one time before he had made the Pirates roster, like the first spring training that he went into with the team, and he said make their decision the toughest decision that they ever have to make. And I think that's what Dotson's doing. Is his Chooks, I believe, is safe at right tackle with Banner going down. They were listed as co-starters anyway. It's Dotson that, in my opinion, is going to be relegated to being back on the bench with David DeCastro coming back. But he did not make their job easy. He's making them have a conversation about how can we get this guy in the field. I mean, look what he did in his first career start. And yeah, they have to be very comfortable moving forward, knowing that they have this guy waiting in the wings to take over a spot. Because I was going to bring up Villanueva. We know he's in the last year of his contract. He's probably moving on. You would think that Chooks or Banner is going to have to play left tackle next year, unless that's what they use their first round pick on. And even if that is the case, maybe that guy doesn't start right away. Then at that point, does Filer go back to right tackle? I don't know what the situation is going to be like, but I think with the way that Dotson and Chooks are playing this year, it gives you a little bit more faith in what the offensive line is going to look like after the season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very solid. I mean, I right now, I think you can say Villanueva was probably their worst lineman, which is kind of ironic that he's their left tackle. But yeah, I mean, the future looks bright for this offensive line. And, I mean, as long as Ben's playing, we know Pouncey's going to play, so center's going to be fine. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. I mean, I don't know, between Banner and Chooks, who I want a left tackle. I'd probably say Chooks right now, just because I think he might be a little quicker. But I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, imagine what the amount of work that I'm assuming Zach is going to put in once he's healthy this offseason. We saw him come in ridiculously much better shape this year than last. What if he does it again this upcoming off season into next year?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And also, I will say it was awesome to see at the kneel down. Dotson gave a little homage to Zach Banner with his little kneel down squat and stay there. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
We did mention the Cash are coming back. We mentioned the team being 2-0. TJ Watt that wins Defensive Player of the Week. Ho hum, just another thing on the map. TJ for TJ Watt. 2.5 sacks in the game. I know a lot of people are actually saying that Mike Hilton was snubbed for winning Defensive Player of the Week. What did you do you think that TJ Watt was deserving of Defensive Player of the Week? Uh-oh, you're frozen on my screen. Hello? YouTube, is Tyler frozen for you, or is it me? It's Tyler? Okay. I want to make sure it wasn't me. I'm just going to have to I paused this already.
Sorry, everyone. I am back now.
I paused the recording, so it's just on YouTube that you were frozen for a while.
Okay. Yeah, my doo-doo internet went out.
It's pretty fast that you got back in here then.
I think it was just like a lag in my internet. So I just reset the internet on my computer real quick.
All right. Let me just okay, so I was talking about TJ Watt.
Yeah.
So yeah, TJ Watt wins Defensive Player of the Week for Week 2, the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. I mean, I know I saw a lot of people actually saying that Mike Hilton would have also been a deserving candidate. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to argue against TJ Watt. Did you think that he had a game worthy of being Defensive Player of the Week?
Well, yeah, I did. And I think almost any week TJ could probably win it. So I was very happy with him. But, I mean, Mike Hilton was very deserving too. I mean, I saw, was it you or someone else joking that he could lead the league in sacks?
Oh, yeah, I was messing around. Yeah, because he has a sack in each of the 2 games so far.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Both played well, but I think TJ was deserving. Just like he was deserving of Player of the Year last year, but he didn't get it.
Just as a whole, I mean, they've gotten pressure on 50% of the snaps. I mean, that's insane that they've gotten that much pressure on quarterbacks. But I mean, I guess it's kind of expected. We knew that they would even be better at getting after the quarterback with the return of Stephon Tuitt this year. So I guess we should have been anticipating it. But yeah, I think that we can safely say that Bud Dupree was not a 1-year wonder.
No, and what sucks is that we're going to watch this year, and then next year he's probably going to be gone. But we do have Alex Highsmith to take his place. I'm really excited to see him grow as a player. But I mean, having this duo right now, it's very exciting as a Steeler fan. I mean, you can argue we got the best edge duo in the league.
Yeah, it's a shame that it wasn't, this way immediately from like 2017 when TJ first came into the league. Because could you imagine had they been wreaking this type of havoc since then? I mean, it'd been insane. But
I mean, we said before on the show, if they had this defense in 2017, with that 2017 offense and this defense, that's such a good team. It's just so frustrating because over the past decade or so, since our last Super Bowl win, really, we've had like one without the other. Like they haven't clicked at the same time, but hopefully right now they're clicking at the same time.
I feel like this defense now with the 2017 offense sleepwalks to at least the AFC Championship.
Yeah. I mean, 2017, we made it to the AFC Championship, right? Or
No,
was that 2016?
They lost to Jacksonville.
Yeah, 2016, we made it to the AFC Championship. We lost to the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Got blown out, actually.
Yeah, that wasn't a fun game.
No, that was actually the day that I came home from Germany. Because I was in Germany whenever we played Kansas City, right? The week before that. And I woke up at 2 a.m. to watch the game because Germany, I was like 6 hours ahead. So I woke up and it was like 2 a.m. and I turned on the TV and they did have the NFL on. I will say that I was surprised by that because I watched the Cowboys and Packers or the game before that.
Some other notes on the game. Obviously, Chase Claypool scores his first touchdown. Also had 3 tackles in the game. First player since Josh Cribbs to receive a touchdown and also make 3 special teams tackles in a game. I mean, I think that just speaks to who he is as a person and player. The fact that he wants to play special teams the way that he does. I mean, even going back to Notre Dame when they tried to take him off special teams, he refused. I mean, he wants to do it. And he's a physical guy. He loves to block. This is the perfect Pittsburgh Steeler. We said the same thing about Alex Highsmith, and I think we can say that they nailed this draft for not having a first-round pick, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. I think Chase Claypool has been so far as advertised where I think he's a guy that just loves football and will do whatever is asked of him on the team, whether that's playing every down on offense or playing special teams. He'll do whatever, and he's great at both. So I'm really excited to have him as a player. It's been great to watch, and his touchdown was great. Seeing him turn on the Jets and score that 84-yard touchdown. I mean, that just shows the type of potential that he has within this offense.
Yeah, I think too. We talked about it before. Is special teams is your way to get your foot in the door, especially with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got to play special teams as a rookie to earn your snaps, whether it be on offense or defense. But I know for a fact, from a little birdie, that Chase Claypool has gotten more looks already in practice this week on offense. So I know that there's a lot of people that think that he could take over a little bit of James Washington's snaps. James Washington, I think, played 33 snaps in that game against Denver. And I don't think that Chase Claypool was like ridiculously far behind. That is something to watch.
24.
24. I think that is something to watch going forward. That's going to continue, I feel like, to even out.
Yeah, Claypool's snaps, I think, increased by like 8 or so from week 1. So, I mean, if that trajectory just keeps going up, you're right. I mean, it will probably start to even out. And it makes sense that Washington would be the guy because obviously you're not going to – Chase Claypool is not a guy that's going to be replacing the type of skill set that Juju or Deontay brings. But we were advertised that James Washington was going to be this deep threat guy, and we've seen that Chase Claypool can be that. And another way I want to see him use is I want to see them just do like a jump ball in the end zone. If they get in the red zone, I want to see a jump ball thrown to him because that's what he did at Notre Dame, and that's where he excelled because he's just this huge guy. He's 6'4". He's like 235 pounds. He can just overpower these like small corners on defense. So I would love to see Ben just throw one up in the corner of the end zone and make him come down with it.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, it's not like James Washington's doing anything wrong. I mean, he gained a lot of praise from Ben Roethlisberger for the shape that he came into going into this season and everything like that. We saw him score a touchdown. I think it's just, as you mentioned, if you're talking about one receiver in the room that's going to lose snaps to Chase Claypool just because of the skill set these guys have, you would think that it is James Washington. What I have seen in the offense that I'm really liking is a lot of the crossing routes. I mean, these guys are, these natural pick plays. They're just running guys open. I mean, guys like Deontay Johnson and Juju are off to great starts this year because of that type of offense. And I think that caters more to them. I think the biggest question mark that I have for the offense is still, I know that it's been pretty solid so far, is the red zone. As you mentioned, what's the personnel going to look like in the red zone when you talk big picture as the year progresses, as Chase Claypool becomes a bigger part of the offense? Because you would think you would want to have him down there. You would want to have for sure maybe Ebron and Vance. I mean, I have no idea who's going to be on the field when we get in the red zone.
I mean, something I would love to see them do in the red zone, which, I mean, we haven't seen them do a lot of in the first two games. If they're down inside like the 5 or so, I want them to line up in the I formation, have like a heavy set. I mean, you signed Derek Watt, and I mean, he's been great on special teams. He's got a safety this past week. But I would love to see him play fullback and open up holes and just stuff the run for James Conner, Benny Snell, whoever is in there. Just be able to take on blockers like we signed him for. I mean, we did sign him for special teams, but I just feel like whenever they do run plays and shotgun and they're inside the 5, it just frustrates me because I feel like you're just setting yourself up from failure from that point.
Yeah, I agree. That's actually not something that I had on here, but you bring up a good point because I have seen that on Twitter. I mean, we spend over $3 million on a fullback who also is very good at special teams, but to that point, really all that he's done for us at this point is play special teams. We haven't seen him take a lot of snaps at fullback, and we saw him spring Connor for a 50-yard run to kind of ice the game against Denver. Continue to use it. I mean, it's obviously works. We ran our best when guys were running behind Rosie Nix here for a long time. So we run our best behind a fullback. I would continue to use that. I'm not saying completely, obviously we talk about it all the time. I just mentioned how I love the pick plays and stuff. It's much more exciting to watch passing plays, and I would rather have an offense that goes primarily through the pass, but you got to be able to run the ball too and have somewhat of a balance on offense. And I know that they've had a 100-yard rusher in each of the first 2 games, but I still, even with that, don't feel like the run game is giving us, enough balance to the offense.
Yeah, I mean, and since we're on the topic, so last week we talked about how both of us thought that Benny Snell should have been the main guy going into this game. Yeah. But obviously James Conner took over the starting role again, and I mean, he did well for the most part.
It's going to be a week-to-week thing.
Yeah, I mean, so I was just going to ask, what did you think of them just going back to Conner? I mean, was it expected or?
I think it was expected. I knew that's what the team was going to do. I knew that the fans would probably have liked to have gone into that game a different way, but their minds may have been changed based off what we saw in that game. I mean, James Conner looked pretty good. A lot of his yardage came on that last run that I just mentioned to kind of ice the game. I mean, that's close to half of what he had. But he's obviously the more capable of the pass-catching backs. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Again, it's probably going to be dependent on game script and just a week-to-week basis who the main guy is. But I think that we have a lot of capable guys. The one thing is Benny's got to find a way to hold on to the football. I mean, I still like him a lot. I still think he's a capable running back. He very well could be the number 1 next year should, the team move on from James Conner as a pending UFA. But he's got to find a way to hold on to the football. We harp on other guys' fumble issues. I don't think Benny Snell should be, absolved from some criticism in that area.
I think I tweeted during the game. I was like, so are the same people that wanted to attack Juju last year going to attack Benny right now? Because, I mean, if we love attacking our players for fumble issues, I mean, he's not shy away from criticism.
Yeah, I think I saw that it's like 3 or 4 straight games that he's fumbled in.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is this?
Is it a comment?
Yeah, but it's a fantasy football question.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess we could try to answer this on here.
Yeah.
I have Breeze, Stafford, Minshew waiting for this week to drop one, but I have Kamara, Drake, Jonathan Taylor at running back. Should I try and trade Drake for Cam Newton since he has Mahomes?
My first question would be, who's your third running back?
He just Kamara, Drake, and Jonathan Taylor. He has.
Hmm.
So Jonathan Taylor would be the number two. Well, I think he's probably. I mean, he might have more value than Kenny and Drake right now, anyway. Now that Marlon Mack's hurt and Jonathan Taylor's the guy in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming your league has a flex. I don't know who your flex play is, but it's nice to have the three running backs. I understand that, Breeze, Stafford, Minshew, right? Cam Newton has been better than them to this point, but I would say no for me. I think I would.
I'll just default to your answer because this is more along the line of your expertise.
Yeah, I think I would just roll with what you have at quarterback. I'm not that high on Drew Brees. I wasn't going into the year, but I am high on Matthew Stafford, who should be getting Kenny Golladay back. And I think Gardner Minshew's a streaming option he can use based off his matchup. And I love the running backs that you have, assuming you can play three, one of those guys in your flex. I think that's a stronger lineup than trading one of those guys just to bring in a slight upgrade at quarterback in Cam Newton. So that's where I would go with it. Last two things I want to talk about with the Steelers. I think that Tyson Alualu deserves a ton of praise and deserves to be talked about as a topic himself on this show for what he's done as a guy who hasn't played at this position. All of a sudden, we put him in this position, and he looks like an all-pro.
I agree. He's done a great job as the nose tackle. Not a traditional nose tackle either, like you said. But he had a sack in that game, right? I'm pretty sure he had a sack this past week. And he's looked really good. It's taken the worry away of the middle of that defense. He's done very well, and it's just another guy that is outperforming how I thought he would on this team. I mean, I knew he would be good, but just thrusting him into a new position like that, I didn't know what to expect at first, but he's doing very well in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to last year, filling in admirably once Stephon Tuitt got hurt. But that's kind of always been his role was, a backup to Hayward and Tuitt. And now we throw him in this spot to replace Javon Hargrave. And he's excelled. I mean, we haven't missed a beat defensively, thanks in large part to him. You mentioned the sack that he had. He also batted a ball at the line of scrimmage. He's getting pressure. He's stopping the run game. I mean, he looks phenomenal. And he's been better than advertised. And now he's a guy that, is also an unrestricted free agent. I would wonder if they would try to get something done with him to try to keep him around. And if that's the case, I mean, I don't see him, them breaking the bank on him or anything like that. But if it's a guy you can bring back to a relatively team-friendly deal, I mean, what he's done for us, and I could even say the loyalty probably, because he probably could have gone somewhere else and had more opportunity than sitting behind Hayward and Tuitt. But he chose not to, and he stuck with us on this defense, and now, it's paying dividends.
Yeah, and it's just another reason the way he's playing that this front seven, I mean, the whole defense as a whole, but the front seven's ridiculous. I mean, nobody can really run on the Steelers with that great efficiency. They just can't do it. You can't really get past the linebackers at that point. I mean, Melvin Gordon did better than Saquon did, but I just feel like a lot of that has to do with the offensive line. But even Melvin Gordon, he didn't do that great.
He broke off a couple 15+ yard runs, and that makes the average and the total number look a lot better than it was. But still, for the most part, if you go down and watch every single run he had, run into a brick wall.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I love watching this defense. I haven't watched a defense like this since, we were in high school, early on in high school. So it's very exciting, and it is interesting to see that. It's interesting to see that Ben said that this is the best defense that he's ever played with.
Yeah, I think that quote might have been taken out of context a little bit, because I saw other people saying he said one of the best defenses. So I mean, it is what it is. I don't know, but it definitely is one of. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying the best.
I'd
But
love to have Brian on and ask him how he feels about that quote.
oh, true. Yeah, we might have to have him back on. Yeah, Ricky mentioned that Tyson Alualu right now is the top graded interior defensive lineman. So I think that's
Yeah, who would have predicted that going into this year?
not me. I also wouldn't have predicted that. I mean, I've been a conductor of the Deontay Johnson hype train pretty much since we drafted him. I've always liked him, but he is currently third in the NFL in targets, obviously first on the team.
Second among receivers.
Yeah, second among receivers with Darren Waller's in there of the Raiders. So he's just behind DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, we were curious as to how the connection would go with him and Ben, considering that they didn't get to play much together last year. We thought, Ben would come right in and kind of be targeting Juju. I don't want to say similar to how we saw him just always looking for AB when he was here, like not even looking other guys' ways. But I thought that, Juju would be his go-to guy just because it was the only receiver that he had like a real established connection with. But he's looking Deontay Johnson's way a ton, and Deontay Johnson is always open. I am incredibly excited for his growth and what we're going to continue to see this season. I see a lot of people, he's not going to be able to get away from the comparisons to Antonio Brown. I mean, we traded him for the pick that got Deontay Johnson. They're similar when they get the ball in their hands. They can make anything happen. Deontay Johnson has a little bit of fumbling issues right now that we really didn't see from AB, but he's also doing more right now. He's in a much bigger role than Antonio Brown was at the beginning of his career too. So I don't want to Deontay Johnson's Deontay Johnson, Antonio Brown's Antonio Brown. They're two completely separate people, but people are not going to be able to get away from that comparison. And it stinks.
Yeah. And I mean, to Deontay Johnson's credit, he's been getting open a lot, which I think is why Ben goes his way. Not that Ben, I think, is only looking at him. I just think it's like, if he's open, why not throw it to him? So, and then that has nothing to take away from Juju, because I mean, Juju's caught 13 out of 14 passes thrown this year. He's only missed once. So I still think he has that connection with Juju as well, but Deontay Johnson is getting open, and like you said, you were the conductor, and we have loved Deontay Johnson since we drafted him. And there's one thing that Steelers do right. It's drafting wide receivers. They know what to do and they know what to look for. He's been
4
great.
straight years they've drafted a receiver.
Yeah. And I mean, you can argue, I mean, I feel like at some point this year, will they be considered the best wide receiver core?
Oh, I mean, that's tough because when you think about like the depth of it, maybe, but like, I mean, Tampa Bay has Godwin and Evans at the top.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, maybe they take Cleveland for the best in the division if they haven't already. Odell and Jarvis.
I think they have already. I'll be honest. I mean, I loved Odell, but I just being in Cleveland, it's just kind of like.
We'll see if there's carryover from Thursday night because they look pretty good on Thursday night. So
yeah, he got 4 balls for like 75 yards and a touchdown, something like that.
But that's the thing is, if you go back and look, he's always open though. I mean, it's just on Baker to get the ball to him. What about Atlanta too? Julio, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage is their number 3.
Did Julio have more than the 1 catch this past week? Because the last time I saw, because I have Calvin Ridley, so I was checking his stats, and the last time I saw it, Julio had 1 catch for 6 yards.
2 for 24.
Okay. I mean, has Calvin Ridley taken over the number 1 spot there?
I think it's too early to say that. From a fantasy standpoint, I think so. But as far as a real life standpoint, I think it's a little bit too early to say that. I mean, I think this is the year where that could potentially happen, though.
Both Bama guys, roll Tide.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of some other receiving cores that are good. The Rams are pretty good. The Seahawks are pretty good. In my opinion, they're up there, but that might be biased. So.
I'm just thinking like 4 deep. Where do they match up in the league?
And we've talked about that before, like needing to be 4 deep at that position. Because that's just the way that offenses run now.
Yeah.
Granted, a lot of them don't have two tight ends that are, I know that Vance McDonald really hasn't given us much recently, but we saw what he could do. We saw the potential that's there. Most teams don't have two tight ends like him and Eric Ebron either. So yeah, they're a tough team to match up against.
Yeah, I think if you're just doing top two, like Deontay and Juju, they're not. But like, I think if you start comparing like the whole, like if you go 4 deep, they're up there. I mean, especially like if you move further on in the season and Chase Claypool excels like we think he will, I think you could have a good argument.
I think he's going to play at least 30 snaps on offense on Sunday.
Really? I hope so. I'd love to see more of him. He's a fun guy to watch.
He was in practice. He was playing on a lot of 3 receiver sets.
That's good. I hope he catches another ball.
Okay, so this is going to be the fun part of the show. We're going to go through some betting. I don't have my hammer this week, so
I have an Outshine popsicle stick.
There you go. I might just use my remote or something. Okay, so yeah, just like last week, we're gonna go through all the NFL games.
You want me to give you 3 college games first?
Okay, we can do that. But so spread, money line, or the over-under is what we're gonna do. But first, also like last week, Beaky's gonna give you some college football bets that he likes.
Yeah, so I went a little homery and picked 2 of the games that I'm a fan of the team. So the first game at 12 o'clock, we've got Pitt and Louisville. In that game, I'm picking under 55.5. Based off what I've seen from the Pitt defense, they're really good. And I think that they can hold Louisville to a low amount of points. I mean, I think you're looking at like a 27-24 final, something like that, 27-21, 24-20. Like you're looking in the 20s. So I don't think it's getting above 55.5. So that's what I got for the Pitt game. For Alabama, I'm picking them to cover the 27.5 points right now, and these odds are provided by FanDuel Sportsbook. That's what Smitty and I use.
Not sponsored though.
Yeah, not sponsored. Maybe in the future. But Bama, I'm picking them to cover against Ole Miss. It's the Mac Jones era in Alabama right now. And I think their first game back, they're going to be guns ablaze, and I think they're going to blow them out.
The SEC is back on Saturday.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Then the last game I picked is BYU and Troy. And so this is actually going to be the first game that BYU plays in almost 3 weeks just because of scheduling issues. I mean, BYU's an independent. So whenever all the conferences, the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the Mountain West all said they're not playing, and BYU had 2 games left on the schedule at that point. So just because of scheduling conflicts, this is our first game in a while, but I'm picking over 60.5 based off the offense that I've seen from BYU and what I know Troy is. I mean, Troy is a lot of guys that they're very good athletes that didn't get offers from Alabama and Auburn, but they are very skilled as well. So I'm going to pick the over in this game in Provo. So it's over 60.5. So yeah, there you go. Call it 3 college football games.
Okay, I know Ricky's a Bama fan. He said, "Let's go, Roll Tide." It's got to be an exciting time to have the SEC back. So
just more football, so I'm all for it.
So Thursday night football tomorrow night, we got the Dolphins and Jaguars. Exciting stuff from the NFL being put out. Great product. The Jacksonville Jaguars are a -3 in this game. The Dolphins plus 138 on the money line. The Jacksonville Jaguars -164. The over-under set at 48.5 here. This sucks. This game sucks. I'm going to go – what's kind of surprising to me, though, I will say, is Jacksonville being a 3-point favorite here after we expected them through the offseason to be like the favorite for the number 1 pick. Yeah. And now they're favored in the game.
Which is why I'm picking that spread. I'm picking them to win by 3. Based off of what I've seen in the first 2 weeks of the season, I am going to pick them to cover the 3 points.
Okay. So my gut tells me to go under because it's the same thing I preached last week, but we saw how that came back to bite me. I'm actually going to go pretty much completely against what you're picking. I'm going the Dolphins not only to cover, but to win this game. So I'm going Dolphins on the money line plus 138.
All right.
I am not necessarily a believer in Fitz magic, but I like the Dolphins overall as a football team. I think this is an ugly game. I'm talking, 14-10, something like that, and the Dolphins grind this one out and get a win on Thursday Night Football.
Interesting. So we're going head to head on this one. I don't really think we had a pick like that last week where we were going like head to head.
I don't believe so. Stubbs said terrible picks. I mean, that we've only made one pick, unless he's referring to
terrible picks.
Oh, it might have been your college football ones.
Oh, it is what it is.
Okay, so the Chicago Bears play the Atlanta Falcons. We'll see if the Falcons can recover an onside kick this week. They are a -3 favorite, minus 184 on the money line. The Bears are plus 154. Over under is set at 47.
So I didn't really like the totals. I feel like the obvious choice would be Falcons -3, but I don't like that it's minus 120 already. Obviously, a lot of people are picking that, so the odds are not as good as over 47, which is what I'm picking.
Over 47, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah.
I think that we saw, and granted, Chicago's offense is not what Dallas's offense is, but I think Atlanta's defense is one of the worst in football. And I still am picking Atlanta to win this game, by the way. I just think that Chicago's going to be able to put up some points. And I think we, at this point, know that Atlanta can at least score. So, yeah, I like this game to be, 30-24, something like that. So I think it will comfortably hit that over by about a touchdown. So, yeah, I'll go over 47 as well. The next game is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are a -5.5 point favorite in this game, -220 on the money line. The Bengals are plus 184, and the over-under is set at 46.5.
I really don't know what to pick with this game because the Eagles suck. It's really tough. And odds-wise, it's better to pick the Eagles to cover, but I'm not sure that I trust them to cover. I mean, especially after watching last week with the Bengals playing the Browns and the Bengals were able to cover in that game, and the Eagles lost Jalen Reagor. I don't know. I don't know what to pick. How about you go first?
I'm somewhat enticed here to pick Cincinnati to go money line, win this game.
Oh, really? Wow.
But I mean, that would be a heck of a way for Joe Burrow to get his first win in the NFL. But the Eagles are going to be equally as desperate. They're also 0-2, and I can't see them dropping to 0-3. I think the Eagles win this game. I just think it's close, and I'll take the Bengals plus 5.5.
Man, I really hate this because, I mean, I guess I'm more enticed to pick the Bengals plus 5.5, but after what I saw, I think I'm going to pick over 46.5. That might be risky, but I'm going to do it. I'm picking over 46.5.
I think that Cincinnati's going to be able to score some points. I think, though, if it's high scoring, Cincinnati wins this game.
Really? You just don't think the Philly offense can keep up?
I mean, there's just still so many question marks about that offensive line, in my opinion. I think that, but Cincinnati's defense stinks, too. So I think they are going to be able to run the ball. My question is, their entire offense is pretty much going to have to go, passing offense is going to have to go through those tight ends. I still think that Philly scores about 20 in this game, at least. I mean, Cleveland, whose offense is pretty much all based on potential, hadn't shown it yet. They went from scoring 9 to 35 against Cincinnati. Yeah. So we know Cincinnati's defense is not good.
Yeah. I mean, I'll stick with that over 46.5.
Stubb said, I wish I could be in this. Next week, maybe we should we can send him a Zoom invite for once we're doing the betting part of it, and he can be in here.
Do we know what kind of streak he's been on with the NFL bets he has?
Oh, the NFL bets? I was just saying he won a parlay last night. So
yeah, I specifically said NFL.
Yeah. But that's perfect because then he'll probably be like fading us. One of us is going to be right.
That's true.
So yeah, Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is our game here. The Steelers are a 4-point favorite, -220 on the money line. The Texans plus 184. Over under set at 45 points.
For me, I feel like the easiest pick to have, just because I thought the -6 was, or -6.5 or whatever it was against the Broncos was easy, like you picked, even though I picked something different. I don't even remember what I picked, over or under. I mean, -4. Houston's not a bad team. They might have played the two best teams in the NFL the past 2 weeks. So I'm going to pick over 45. I think that Houston's offense is good enough to be able to put up some points on our defense. And I think that our offense is going to be able to score points as well.
Yeah, I think our offense is definitely going to score. And I think that our defense hasn't necessarily given up a ton of points, obviously, in the first 2 weeks. But I think there's still more there. As weird as that sounds, like they've been good. We obviously mentioned how much pressure they're getting. I think the one question mark about the team so far has or at least the defense, has been the secondary in the way the teams are able to pass against them across the middle of the field. For that reason, but I think they started to figure it out this week. For that reason, I'm just going to be safe here and go Steelers money line at -220. And I know that there's not much value to
yuck.
Huh?
I said yuck.
Yeah,
terrible value.
There's not much value to doing that. That's why if you're picking this, it has to be just part of like a parlay. I mean, You wouldn't bet that just straight up. There's really no reason to. I don't like the total of 45, and as we mentioned, the Texans are 0-2. They're going to be coming into this game needing a win. Teams that go 0-3 do not make the playoffs. So I know that there's one more playoff spot this year, so there's a little bit better odds for them to do so. But I do not like their chances of making the playoffs should they fall to 0-3. I think that they do fall to 0-3. I just think they make this game incredibly close, but I don't see it being 45 total points scored in this game.
All right.
Moving on, the Las Vegas Raiders, coming off a huge win on Monday Night Football against the Saints, head to Foxborough to play the New England Patriots. -6.5 point favorites are the Patriots. -290 on the money line, +235 of the Vegas Raiders. The over-under is set at 47.5.
Now, I know the over hit in both of their past two games, but I'm going to pick the under in this one. I feel like that both of them are going to be running a lot. I think that the clock is going to run pretty quickly. Game's going to go by fast, and I think that they're going to not have enough time to hit the over. And I think I saw enough from both defenses. Now, obviously, Russell Wilson did what Russell Wilson does against the Patriots. Like we said, he's on an MVP tear right now. But I saw enough from the Raiders defense as well against the Saints to show me that they can hold good teams as well. So I'm going to say under 47.5.
This might be one of the toughest ones for me. I mean, it depends on how much you're buying into the Raiders win against the Saints. Is that really the team that they are? I mean, the Panthers, who we don't think are going to be very good, took the Raiders to pretty much the last minute of the game before the Raiders won that. I'm inclined to think that the Raiders aren't actually that good of a team. I think the Patriots, coming off a loss back at home, I'm going to take them to cover 6.5 against the Raiders. My other pick, if I had to pick something else, I would go the over as well. Obviously no value going on the money line. And I think that they score, or no, you went under 47.
Went under, yeah. I'm taking a risk on this game.
Yeah, I think if I weren't picking -6.5, I'd actually probably go with the over.
I mean, to be honest, this is a game that I'm probably going to stay away from on Sunday anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not in love with any of this, so.
Yeah, I'll pick the Patriots to cover. If I weren't picking that, I actually would go the over, though, just because I think that Cam Newton could have a very good game against the Raiders defense, and I think that he could get 30 plus of that 47.5 total. But yeah, I'll go under 6.5 here. Moving on to the Rams and Bills. Actually, probably one of the better games of the week, to be honest with you. Buffalo, just a 2.5 point favorite at home, -142 on the money line. The Rams +120, over under set at 47 here.
I'm just going to take the Rams straight up to win. I'm taking Rams money line.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think that they'll make it work on offense against Buffalo's defense, and I think Josh Allen's luck not that he's had luck the first two games, but I think Josh Allen will probably make a couple more mistakes than he's made the first 2 games, and I'm going to pick the Rams to win flat out.
Okay, so I'm just going to go. I think that this is going to be a very close game. I'll go over 47 on this. Josh Allen, I mean, if we're not talking about Russell Wilson as MVP, Josh Allen might be the league MVP through 2 weeks if Russell Wilson wasn't part of the picture. He's been that good for them.
It's been
and
great to have him on my fantasy team.
Yeah. And the Rams defense does not scare me. You know, I know that obviously Aaron Donald running after him is going to scare him a little bit. But I think both these teams could put up some points. And I know Buffalo's defense pretty solid, but the Rams offense is pretty solid too. And, you know, unless this total was like over under like 53.5, I'm picking the over 47. I could see it being a 30 to 28 game, somewhere around there.
Okay.
I just saw stuff. Hammer the Rams to cover and the under. The under. Pal, it ain't snowing in Buffalo yet.
You know, whenever spreads are that close, like if spreads are less than a field goal, and I'm picking someone to cover the whatever it is, +1, +1.5, +2.5, I would rather pick the money line for that team because I feel like they're going to win by at least a field goal.
Yeah, I agree. And you're talking about a difference of -110 as opposed to +120. So if you're picking them to win straight up, I mean that's where the value is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the chances of them winning by 1 or 2 points?
Yeah, it's greater odds that they're going to win by more. Okay, 49ers and Giants.
49ers and Giants, yeah. The Niners are -3.5 point favorites here, -194 in the money line. Giants +162, over under 41.5.
According to the odds, this is not the favorite pick, but I'm going under 41.5 at -105. I just, with the injuries that both of these teams have had, I don't see them scoring a ton. I mean, first off, I didn't see the Giants scoring a ton against the 49ers, even if the Giants were fully healthy. But I just don't see this being a high-scoring game. I think it could be like a 20-17 game, 17-10, something like that. And so, yeah, I'm picking the under.
I'm going Niners to cover -3.5 here. Only reason I would pick that over the under, and I know that you said last week you weren't looking at this, so maybe you aren't again as well. But
I am looking.
Okay, it's just better -110 as opposed to -105.
-105 is better.
Is it?
Yeah, the higher the number on the minus, the worse the odds.
Oh, I guess so. You're getting farther away. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, you're right. I would go the under.
Okay. Yeah.
The next game is going to be the Titans and Vikings. The Titans -2.5 point. Here we go. That -2.5. 2.5 point favorite, -130 on the money line. The Vikings are +108. Over under set at 48.5.
So I don't know why I'm doing this. Maybe I'm an idiot, but every year I feel like there's one game that Kirk Cousins seems like a great quarterback. And I feel like this could be that game. And I'm going to pick the Vikings money line +108.
They have to win, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's got to come at some point. The Vikings going 0-3 would shock me more than the Texans going 0-3. So, yeah, I'm picking the money line just because it's the best odds you can get.
Part of me wants to do that, but I'm just going to go under 48.5 here. I don't love either offense, so
I'm really surprised that the over 48.5 is -120. Like, so many people are picking that.
Because I mean the Titans, their offense isn't like, they don't score a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are a run first team, and that is going to kill the clock. I just don't see a ton of points being scored in this game.
Yeah,
And I do think that I think the Vikings win. Like if I'm picking a team, but I'm more confident in just saying the under.
I understand. I'm just looking at the odds, and that's the best odds, and I feel like the Vikings have to win at some point, so that's why I went for it.
The Washington football team against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland is a 7-point favorite here, minus 335 money line. Washington plus 270. Over under set at 44.5.
Again, I might be taking the riskier pick, but if you're giving me 7 points against the Cleveland Browns, I'm taking it. I'm taking the Washington football team plus 7. Even against the Bengals, they couldn't cover 6 or whatever it was. It's hard for me to pick the Browns to cover. I know I could say I could pick the total, but I'm just going to pick the Washington football team to cover the 7 points.
You don't know how bad I want to pick Washington to just win this game at plus 270.
No, I mean, that's great value. I mean, $10 winning 27, that would be great. I just don't know if they could win, especially after we saw Cleveland on Thursday night. I know Bengals aren't good, but neither is the Washington football team. So
no, but their defense is better. And,
yeah.
and that's why I'm going to pick them to cover 7 points as well.
Let's go. I mean, until Cleveland can consistently beat teams by a touchdown, I'm not going to pick them to cover a touchdown.
No. Panthers and Chargers. Chargers minus 6.5-point favorites. Minus 260 on the money line. The Panthers are plus 215. Over under set at 43.5.
Listen, the loss of Christian McCaffrey sucks for the Panthers. He's their whole offense for the majority. And that's why I'm going to pick the Chargers to cover the 6.5. I was impressed with what I saw this past week against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they can potentially carry that over. Justin Herbert maybe could perform even a little bit better than he did, maybe get rid of some of those rookie mistakes. I'm going to pick them to cover 6.5 points.
Yeah, I don't like any of this.
I don't like it either. This is just more like a shot in the dark for me. I feel like the loss of Christian McCaffrey just can't go understated. I mean, it's huge for that offense. So, I mean, I think they're going to have a tougher time putting up points.
Panthers defense is terrible.
And last week we saw the Chargers could have some life.
Yeah, I think I'll take minus 6.5 as well. I mean,
and
I don't even know what else I would honestly.
It's the best odds. I mean,
yeah.
Unless you want to pick the Panthers to money line.
Yeah, which I can't do. If Christian McCaffrey were playing and still had these same odds to it, which it wouldn't if Christian McCaffrey were playing.
Right.
But if it did, I would probably be enticed to do so, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Or I might just go the over thinking that they put up more points.
Without the best running back in the league, I can't do it.
The Jets and Colts. The Colts are minus 10.5-point favorites in this one. Minus 520 on the money line. The Jets are plus 400. Over under set at 44. This is the largest spread that we've seen so far through 3 weeks.
Yeah. I am going to pick under 44 points. I don't see this being a high-scoring game at all. Even if, say the Colts got 24 points, do I think that the Jets are going to get 20? No, I don't. So that's why I'm picking under.
I think it's a pretty low-scoring game too, which is why I'll take the Jets plus 10.5. Because that's just too much of a gap for me for a game that I think is going to be low-scoring on both sides. Granted, I don't think the Jets' defense is anything good. They stink too. But I just think this is a game that's going to be like 17-10.
And it's good odds, plus 100.
Yeah. Cowboys, Seahawks. The Seahawks are minus 5-point favorites here. Minus 215 on the money line, plus 180 for the Cowboys. Over under set at 55.5.
Okay. So just because for the total, I feel like it would go over just seeing these two offenses. But the odds are worse for that which is why I'm just going to pick Seahawks to cover. I've been impressed with the Seahawks through 2 weeks. And we've seen that the Dallas Cowboys defense can have a lot of flaws, and the Seahawks defense is way better than the Falcons defense. So I don't see them being able to put up 40 on them. So I'm just going to pick Seattle to cover the 5 points. You're really thinking here, huh?
Yeah. I think I'm going to go the over on points, to be honest. I don't think very much of either defense. Seattle doesn't have the Legion of Boom anymore.
I don't think much of either defense, but I feel like Seattle's is good enough to do better than the Falcons did. And I think the over will hit. I just like the odds better for Seattle covering.
Oh, that's true.
So,
yeah,
it's basically who do I think will score more points? And I'm going to pick Seattle to score more points by like a touchdown. What is that noise?
I'll go Seattle cover -5.
Dude, you sounded like whenever like people ask Siri to say something, and then she just goes like,
Lions and Cardinals. Cardinals -5.5 point favorites, -235 on the money line, +194 for the Lions. Over under 54.5. When was the last time the Cardinals were favored by five points or more?
I don't know. When's the last time I took the Cardinals by 5.5 points? I don't know, but I'm doing it this week just because it's +100. I love that offense.
Yeah. I mean, it has the same odds as if you pick the under at -50 or under 54.5. The only better odds would be picking the Lions straight up.
Which I don't know that's happening.
I don't think happens. I'll go the Cardinals to cover -5.5. Because I think it will be the over. Again, the Cardinals defense still not there. Kenny Galladay is supposed to come back for Detroit. I think they could put up some points. We know Arizona is going to put up points. So,
dude, how good is Kyler Murray? He is.
I have him as my QB1 this week for fantasy.
Yeah, he's a stud. I mean, he's like averaging like 80 yards rushing too.
Yeah,
it's pretty nuts.
Tampa Bay and Denver. Tampa Bay is a 6-point favorite here, -270 money line. Denver +220, over under 43.5.
So I'm not in love with this one.
I am, actually.
You are?
Tampa Bay covering -6. No Drew Lock. Cortland Sutton's out for the year. I think that this is at least a 10-point win for Tampa.
Yeah,
Chris Godwin's back for Tampa.
So let me say, whenever I say I'm not in love with it, I'm not in love with what deciding between what I'm picking, I guess, because I would pick Tampa to cover, but that's at -115.
Okay.
And the under is at 43.5, over is at 43.5, but it's +100, -120 for the over and the under. So I'm just looking at odds. That's why I don't love it. Just because obviously the best odds is picking the over, but I don't know that it hits the over.
No, I mean, granted, he looked okay against us. Like Jeff Driscoll, I don't expect him to go out there and look the same way he did against us against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that was just us being unprepared for him to play.
Even if Tampa Bay puts up, say, 30 points, do we expect the Broncos to put up 14? I mean, or do we even expect Tampa Bay to put up 30 points? I don't know.
No, I don't. I think that this is, like a 24-10 win.
Yeah, I'd probably parlay this, so I'll take -6.
Sunday Night Football, Green Bay and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a -3-point favorite here. -160 on the money line. Green Bay is +142. Over under set at 52.5. I will tell you right now, I am taking the Green Bay Packers +142 on the money line.
That's what I'm doing as well. I've been very impressed with Green Bay the first 2 weeks. The past, just from a fantasy perspective, they've had two 45-point players the past 2 weeks. So I think that they will flat out win this game. I agree. Plus 142.
Now this is tough. Kansas City and Baltimore. Baltimore's a minus 3.5-point favorite here. Minus 196 on the money line. Kansas City's plus 164. Over under 53.5.
I feel like just looking at it, I feel like I have to pick plus 164. I mean, it's the best odds, and it's probably got as good as chance as any of the other picks to hit. So, I don't know. This is the toughest game. Because for how good both offenses are, and obviously at minus 120, everybody's picking the over right now. I feel like this could go under. And I might sound crazy by saying that.
Yeah, I mean, we know Baltimore is definitely the better of the two defenses, but I don't think Kansas City's defense is bad. It's definitely better than Cleveland's and Houston's, who's Baltimore's faced in weeks 1 and 2.
I'm not a fan of picking the spread for either team.
Yeah.
I'd either pick the total or just pick Chiefs to win flat out.
This is the expected game of the week or game of the year, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, you're arguably having the top two teams in the league playing each other. So,
Baltimore looks like they're the best team in football. Kansas City, reigning Super Bowl champions. Maybe it's the bias in me. I'm going Kansas City, money line, plus 164.
I mean, I feel like I got to pick that too. I'll probably, you know what? I mean, a little insight on what I'll probably do with my bets. I'll probably have a single bet on the money line, and then I'll probably parlay a couple like player props and stuff like that. But I'm not in love with either the total or the spreads, and the best value is obviously that money line. And I feel like Kansas City could easily win the game. I mean, not easily. It'll be a good game, but I mean, just chances wise, they have as good as chance of anyone to beat Baltimore. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll pick those odds, money line.
Well, there you have it. That wraps it up. That's got to be the toughest one. I mean, like we said, two best teams in football potentially playing each other in week 3 on Monday Night Football. So, but if you guys at home want to keep track, tell us how stupid we are.
Dude, Anthony Davis screwed me last night.
Really?
Yeah, because I had a parlay of the Nuggets to cover plus 6.5. Jamal Murray over 24.5 points, which he had like 28 or something like that. And then Anthony Davis over 28.5 points, and he had 27.
He only had like 2 rebounds.
Yeah, it was very disappointing.
All right, so we got to give away the last jersey, the Rocky Blyer jersey.
Speaking of which, let me try to show you what it looks like.
I think everybody probably has a good idea what it looks like, but
for those people watching right now. I have to download something for a virtual background. What is this? Must have been an update I didn't do. Oh, there it is.
I didn't know that's what you were going to do. I was curious as to what you meant by you were going to show it. Yeah, so an autographed Rocky Blyer jersey. Does that have the Super Bowls he won too?
Yeah, it's got the Super Bowl inscriptions.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so yeah, let's see who's going to win that. Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 1019.
A random number between 1 and 1019 is 93.
93.
So that's going to be an early on subscriber.
Someone from the OG YouTube. I mean, when did we get 100 subscribers? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
The suspense is killing me.
Wait, 199, 98, 97, 96, 95, 93 was the number, right?
Yeah.
Zaina. She's always supporting us. I'm happy that her and Drew. Well, Drew's probably going to take it and put it in his man cave, but congrats. I'm assuming you're not in here either, but I will message you, and we will get that out to Amish Town.
Amish Town? Where do they live?
Lancaster.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right, so congrats to everybody that won. Mandy Peachy won the Newman bat. Cody Plain won the Steven Nelson jersey. Chris Staggerwald, we don't know if it's a relation, won the Stephon Tuitt jersey, and Zaina won the Rocky Blyer jersey.
Congrats, everyone. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, 1,019 to be exact. So thanks everybody that subscribed. Don't go anywhere. We're going to continue to do giveaways and stuff, so don't unsubscribe, please. As I mentioned before, the best way to support us right now, what we're trying to do is just continue to grow the YouTube. So like the videos, watch the clips of the show, watch the show when it's live, comment. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Do all the things that you can to interact with the videos.
Should even play the video and have it on in the background while you do something else. Just helps us out a lot.
Yeah, we need the watch time to increase. And like I said, like 60% of the people that watch the videos are not subscribed. So please subscribe if you aren't already. If you're listening back, please head over to the YouTube to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You can become part of the live chat, which is awesome. It's very interactive. To listen to us give you betting advice that probably won't hit for you. So
also, I know that sounds crazy, but get us to 10K on Twitter by the end of the year.
Oh man. Yeah, we just passed 6, so I guess that's in the same day we got 1,000 subscribers on here and 6,000 followers on Twitter, so that's awesome. So thank you guys so much. I want to tell you guys about Keats Barbershop one more time. It's an old-fashioned barbershop. It's located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. Every Tuesday he has $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, Keats Barbershop, 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. Something that I kind of keep forgetting to mention on here, and I know it's our pinned tweet on Twitter, so you guys see it a lot anyway. Rocking Around the 412 is back for year 3, and it has been for quite some time. We're very excited about it. We think that this could be a year that we raise more money than we have in the past. We are well equipped with prizes, more prizes than we've had in the past. To thank you guys for donating. The donations, if you haven't been part of it before, will go to families in our areas to provide them with the Christmas that they otherwise wouldn't be able to provide for their kids. Especially, this year in 2020, there's a lot of financial burdens that wasn't expected or couldn't be anticipated for these families. And we know it's going to be hard during the holidays. So we want to be able to help those families alleviate that financial burden. And we're very excited to do that for a 3rd consecutive year. So again, Rock Around the 412 year 3 is well underway. You can DM us about it. You can send us an email at aroundthe412@gmail.com. If you know of a family that might be in need, or if you are a family in need, you can reach out as always. Other than that, thanks for listening to another episode of Around the 412. This has been a presentation of Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners with sports, gambling, and more. Don't forget to follow us at Around the 412. Follow them at Crowworthy. Visit the Pittsburgh City page at crowworthy.com for podcasts such as this one, blogs, gambling advice, all that good stuff and more. Until next time, it's been Smitty, it's been Tyler, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.